Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm looking to be first. Notice of this meeting has been provided to the Hopewell Valley News, the Times of Trenton, and Trentonian, and posted on the borough website in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. And I should also read the push mark. As a courtesy, the Hopewell Borough Planning Board offers remote viewing of its meetings using the Zoom platform. Remote access is provided for viewing only and is not guaranteed. Questions and public comments cannot be made online at this time. Anyone wishing to participate must attend the meeting in person. Now,
Okay, we'll do roll call. Mayor Kennedy, absent. Mr. Buda, absent. Ms. Baxter, absent. Mr. Donaldson,
here.
Ms. Lyon.
Yeah, here.
Ms. Perry, here. Mr. Young,
Yes.
Ms. Colella, here. Vice Chair Ferrara, here. And Chair Meckles.
Here. Thank you. Let's take a look at the minutes from the March 4th meeting, and when you're ready, I will entertain a motion to approve.
One spelling change.
I already noted the second change.
Yeah.
The motion is Brian's lines, and I will second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. And we have 3 vouchers on the agenda tonight, so I'll take a motion to approve those.
All motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Okay, at this point, I'm going to open the floor for any topics that are not on tonight's agenda. So does anybody have anything that's not on the agenda tonight? Yes.
Hi, these are just some procedural questions I had. They somewhat relate to the Hopewell 57, but they're not.
Yeah, we need.
Oh, Rosemary Williams. And for those of you who don't know me, I've been here for 30 years. I used to live on Home Street before I moved to Lafayette. At one of the meetings, the builder said there's just a small portion of.
This is testimony we will circle back and you can do that. This is a question for Hopewell 57. If
It's
you're
not
talking
a
about the
question.
if you're talking about the developer, it's Hopewell 57. You can wait until we open floor.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything that's not on tonight's agenda? Saying nothing, I will close the floor. We have no certificates of appropriateness, and we will resume the public hearing for Hopewell 57. Christopher, do you want to
Yes,
do your thing?
yes, Mr. Chair. Chairman asked me just to give the public and those here today just a summary of where we are and where we're going. As you know, we've had a couple of hearings on this application. I believe this is the third hearing night. What we are going to ask the applicant to do is to respond to some of the questions that we had at the first 2 hearings. We asked for some additional information covering areas, whether it was through the board or through the public, covering areas such as street view, some environmental updates, safety precautions that they're going to look at. So we're going to ask the applicant to go through those, answer some of those questions or bring further exhibits to help respond to those earlier questions. Then after that, we'll go through the next witness in applicant's presentation, and that will be the traffic consultant. In the normal course, what happens is they present their testimony, and then the borough's consultant will weigh in on that. And then after that, the board will have an opportunity to ask questions. And then after that, we're going to open the public. We're going to see if the applicant has any additional witnesses. And if not, we're going to open the whole meeting to the public. And at that point in time, that would be your ability to cross-examine the witnesses that spoke tonight or any of the witnesses. I believe they have them all today. You have all your witnesses? Okay, great. So when we open it up to the public, we will, you'll have the ability to cross-examine, ask questions. And you also have the ability to make your statements. So you'll be able to say things for or against the project. You'll be able to present any type of evidence or witnesses that you may have. And you'll have the ability to, make your case if you so choose. You could just ask questions, or you could present whatever you would like for the board's consideration. And that's how we're gonna proceed. Just so you understand, once everybody has an opportunity to go through, cross-examine, present whatever they like, the chair will close the public portion, and then the board will go into deliberation, which will be a discussion between the board members and the consultants on what they are supposed to do, which is compare the application to the ordinance and go through the standards and whether or not the applicant has met its burden of satisfying the ordinance. And that's pretty much it. So, Mr. Chair, I'll turn it back to you and we can get started, push it to the applicant and ask them to see if they have a response for some of those earlier questions that we asked them to.
That's a wonderful idea. So we'll go until 10 o'clock tonight. And you're ready for your.
Thank you.
Sorry, question on the procedural. Procedure clarification?
Yeah.
If you could ask it there, it's just a procedural question.
Well, the questions. Can I get your name? Keith, Lafayette Street. Keith Hobby, Hobey, Lafayette Street. So I just want to make sure that we're clear for the room and for the people at home. So then there's going to be follow-up from the prior questions that were asked at prior meetings of the experts that previously testified.
Yes.
To proper information today. And then
Like, for example, last hearing, we asked the applicant to provide some exhibits to show the streetscape. We expect them to have something to show us that responds to those questions
okay,
from the board.
right, so the public, we're not are expected them to review the supplemental information of the expert that we're gonna hear for the first time tonight.
That's how
And then be able to
planning board's hearings work. That's,
I'm confirming.
yes.
Thank you.
I have a procedure.
No, come on.
It's a procedure.
No. Keith,
Well, I'm
finish up,
sorry.
and we're
I'm sorry.
gonna start
We
this.
should have known that we could have brought witnesses. We were told it's a question only opportunity. And now it's being sprung on us that we could have brought witnesses.
Okay,
and
let me clarify. I said from the very first, and to go back and watch, that you'll have the opportunity to provide statement and witnesses at
At
the
the
end.
end,
And
that's
that
not
will
what
be
you just
after
said.
the last witness. That's the same thing as them finishing.
but you're
their
saying that
sentence
we can do that now, not at the very
at
end.
the end of their presentation, which is expected to be their last witness, which is traffic.
What about
So I'm
environmental?
reaffirming exactly what we've said over and over again.
That's not what.
Keith, let's finish up with your.
So I just want so then, when anyone from the public comes up to ask questions after the traffic study report testified to, then our questions are to be as to any of the former
That's
experts that
correct.
previously testified?
That's correct.
Okay,
In case you didn't cover it last time, you want to cross-examine, you have that opportunity. You don't have to, you can make your own case. You have the ability to ask questions, to make your own case, make your own statements, whatever you want to do. This is your opportunity. And, once they finish their case, you as a public person can talk pro or con, either way.
and then as the agreement indicated a study on environmental issues, is there going to be testimony on environmental issues?
Well, I think we asked them at the beginning to provide that, and we hope that they're gonna be addressing that at the beginning of tonight's hearing to give us an update. With regard to, the environment, the redevelopment plan, you can ask any of those questions at the time that we open it up to the public. If you have questions about that, how it's applicable, you certainly can do that or make statements.
Okay, and then the other thing is, we had discussed previously, we had requested this meeting to be in a larger venue. And then at the end of the meeting, the the attorney asked for a special meeting. So this is her in March as opposed to in April. I guess my question is then, is there, and then was subsequent posting online about the April meeting, planning board meeting being at the school. I just want make sure of clarification.
We'll go
get
into
to
that at the end of the meeting. We'll
Assuming that we
talk
have
about the
another
next.
meeting, we will talk about the venue, where it'll be, and time and what day. We do that at the end.
I mean, there's people in the hallway right
Well,
now.
before that,
There's nothing we can do about that now.
Yeah, the fire.
I think you just
What?
answer that question.
We have time, we do another time.
So, I have one other question, sorry, all right, well, I guess that would be the other question is then, I mean, I don't mean the fire marshal's here, so if there's over 100, what?
The 45 days.
Oh, yes, the timing with respect to, under the zoning ordinance, there's a certain timeframes that are imposed as to when a site plan application has to be completed, unless there's been an agreement between the planning board and the developer. Is
So
there,
what happens is if I don't know what the clock is, the secretary usually takes care of the dates. So I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but, it's usually, she's unfortunately sick this evening. So what we do is if, we can take a look at that, during the hearing tonight. And if it looks like it will expire before the next hearing, if it's in fact continued, we would ask the applicant for an extension. And that's how it's usually.
and if the extension, so I know it's a legal question, but like, if the applicant refuses, then is the
The
applicant,
applicant will most likely not refuse
We won't.
because.
We will not refuse.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense. It just wastes time in court.
Okay,
Okay.
let's get rolling.
well, I don't know.
No, Rosemary, no. We're gonna start testimony.
What are we gonna do with the people that are in the hallway?
We can trickle them in and out as we, as they want, if they want to speak. If they have trouble hearing, we can make room along the outside of
But it's
the
a
road.
fire hazard if there's over a certain amount.
It is, but I don't think we're at the max. The building has the room has a max posted. I don't-
Yes, it does, it's 100.
Hold on. Let me just, sorry, I'm just trying to ask, if there are more than 100 people, since the fire marshal is here, like, is that prohibited?
Well, we can't go beyond what's allowed by the fire code because it would be unsafe.
Yeah.
Right, so,
I don't believe we are. How's
Yeah,
that?
there's some keys of-
I'm not asking, I'm asking the planning board, I'm asking the fire marshal. Because everyone who's here has a right to participate. If they leave, they cannot ask questions remotely.
Yeah.
So if they like to be here, but the posting outside says 100 people in the room. If you can't get 100 people, then they're not participating. So the question becomes for the fire marshal is whether or not the meeting can go forward if the venue's not suitable to meet the needs of the people that are in attendance.
If there's anyone in the vestibule that has a question, they can come in and we can.
No.
No, that's not.
Where's that stated?
Yeah, I don't think we're at capacity. We can count. but-
We can count.
Go ahead. Go ahead, start your testimony.
Whoa, are we not counting?
Yeah, you can count, but we're gonna start.
That's not
Okay.
fair.
Everybody can hear
Sit
it.
down,
That's
please.
just not fair. A lot of this hasn't been fair, and that's not fair. It's a fire hazard.
And they should be able to listen clearly like everybody else.
Okay.
That's-
If we can try to do one at a time, we can do some quick maths to figure this out, how many rows and people there are. I'm just the reporter, I'm just trying to take down one person speaking at a time. All right.
Man,
Yes.
okay. So the capacity of the room is posted at 100 people. That means 100 people can be in this room. Okay? If we were to exceed the 100 people in the room, then we are exceeding the occupancy load of the room. My authority would be to say, okay, anybody over 100 can't be in the room. How that proceeds or doesn't proceed procedurally for the board is a board decision, not mine. So it is not up to me to shut down a meeting. It is up to me to make sure that the room is not overcrowded. Okay?
What's the race? Let's just reschedule it.
And well, again, that is not up to me.
Yeah, you're good.
That is a procedural issue for the board, not me. Okay? So, you know, we have 5 in a row? 10 across?
We're at 92 just in the room alone.
Okay.
Plus so we're over 100. We're over 100 in the room.
Okay. So, again, how the board would like to proceed is up to the board.
So the board can decide who they're not gonna allow to be.
Fred, hey, and now, sit down, I understand we're dealing with, hang on.
And stuff, maybe we can ask.
Don't be rude, really.
Don't be rude.
You're so frustrated and you're treating us like we don't belong here.
And we're not?
No, well, but you're the ones that are supposed to be.
Prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance. Where do I get my entire life?
I think what I would like to do is just see how many are in here.
Yeah.
And if we exceed the 100 people, I would ask the applicant to take some of his witnesses that he's not using right now and have them stand in the door and shift them
And then
a
they-
little bit around, so that we have 100 people, max in the room. So,
I can stand up, too, I just like, I'll go out there.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, open that other door.
yeah, you can open that door. You open
What was it?
No, I just hold that.
Yeah.
So the applicant is only
I don't even remember that first time. Taking the back books and
Can I ask everybody to take a seat, please? Please take a seat. I just want to go through and make sure. Okay, so let's, I'm gonna go through and count one last time to see where we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 67, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 89, 80, 61, 94, 85, 7, 8, 9, 90, 91, oh no, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99.
And there's not right here. There's 100. You went up there. You're good. You're at 100 then.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay.
Oh.
Ready?
Yeah.
Charles Liebling, Windell's Marks, Lane and Mittendorf, representing Hopewell 57 Urban Renewal Entity LLC. This, what?
No, you're good.
This application is for preliminary and final site plan approval with no variances or design waivers. This redevelopment project is proceeding pursuant to the redevelopment plan adopted for the site and a redevelopment agreement, and it does meet the affordable housing set aside requirement. The last two hearings, you heard testimony from Jeffrey Albert on behalf of the applicant, as well as our civil engineer and architect. Tonight, we'll be presenting additional testimony on some issues that were raised from our architect, our civil engineer, and from Mr. Albert. In addition, we'll be presenting expert testimony from Victor Anasike, the project's traffic engineer from Bowman. So with that, I'd like to invite our architect, Michael Powder, to respond to some of the questions that were raised. And there'll be visuals as well.
Michael, you were previously sworn in, so you still remain under oath. And are these new exhibits you're going to present?
These are.
So I know you've already pre-labeled them, but we're gonna, so there's no confusion, I'm going to just continue the numbering and we'll go through and the numbering so it's consistent I've been labeling applicants exhibits A1. And at the last meeting, we identified A25. And then we actually, because it was out of order, skipped to A30. So to make things easy on the list, I will say that we'll skip A26, A27, A28, and A29, which will not have specific exhibits. And we're gonna start this hearing on March 25th, 2026, labeling them starting with A31. And, pardon?
No, he's
Yeah,
gonna keep going.
we're gonna go
He's not
in
using
that
it.
order. Yeah, and the first one, A31 is exhibit B1. And can you just describe that for us?
Sure. Exhibit B1 is a site plan indicating some street views from opposite Lafayette, Hamilton, and Somerset Streets, beginning on Lafayette to the east and moving clockwise to the intersection at Hamilton, up Hamilton, and then right on Somerset. I believe there's 7 or 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, there are 7 views beginning on Lafayette Street, and the purpose of this effort is to answer the question of visibility of the 4-story apartment building from the streets of Lafayette, Somerset, and Hamilton. So the next slide, each slide will follow clockwise, starting at slide A down at around 6 o'clock. We're talking clock face graphics. View A is at 6 o'clock, B at 7, and so on. So the next view, exhibit B2 in this case.
So we're gonna mark it as A32 for the record.
Okay, so A32 is from across the street at Lafayette. I had mentioned in my testimony that I believe that the only time you'd be able to see the 4-story building from Lafayette Street would be at the openings between our townhouse units, which are 2.5 stories. You can see in this image, and you can see a glimpse of our community building in the middle between the 2 buildings and the 4-story apartment unit behind it. In the B view from the intersection at Hamilton and Lafayette, you can again see the community building across the public square at the corner, and you can get a glimpse of the top floor of the apartment building between the opening of the Lafayette and Hamilton townhouse units.
And we're gonna mark B3 as A33.
B4 is up Hamilton, and turn up Hamilton heading north. And again, we've moved to the opening between the 2 buildings, and the openings between the buildings were part of the design to break up the regularity of the buildings end to end. It was part of the zoning and planning request by the borough. And you can see again a glimpse of the top story of the apartment unit and the community building between the openings. This is further up Hamilton Street, looking straight across at a unit, so you can see from sidewalk level. This is from the vantage point of an approximately 6-foot high person walking up the sidewalk, looking across the street.
Okay, that's exhibit A34 was pre-marked as B4 and A35 is pre-marked as B5.
Correct. The next view is at the intersection and beyond. It's actually up Railroad Place a little bit to get a little further away to see if we can get a better view of the apartment building. The further away you get, you can see we're pretty far up Railroad Place, and you can see that the apartment building is still not cresting the ridge line of the townhouse units. That is B6. That would be your 36?
Yes, 36.
Okay, so this would be 37, B7. This is now on Somerset at the entrance into the parking area that wraps around the 4-story apartment building. And we can see the apartment building clearly on the left and the back of the townhouses along Lafayette straight ahead. B8 and final slide in this case is
38.
B8, 38 is from the parking area opposite the entrance to the apartment building on Somerset. The next slide is B9, 39 in your case. And this is really to look at lines of sight. There was a question about, I tried to do a modeled view of what it would be like to take one of the name tags and put it down on the floor and put a person up on the roof. And I pretended that your console was the apartment tower to try to give a sense of perspective. So what this is doing is it's doing that literally in the sense of a drawing. In the upper left-hand corner is a thumbnail site plan showing the site, the L-shaped apartment tower to the upper right, the Lafayette Street townhouses on the lower portion of the drawing. And the red line represents a section taken through Lafayette Street, the townhouses, the parking lot, and the beginnings of the apartment tower. And on the section view, there's a 6-foot person standing opposite Lafayette Street, looking across the street at the ridge line, the top of the gabled roof of the townhouses. And if we peel away, you can see that you cannot begin to see the apartment unit in that cross section. The fact is, you would have to go another block further west to start to get a glimpse of the top of the roof of the wall, the parapet of the 4th floor, peaking above the ridge line of the townhouses. But it's unlikely that you're going to be able to see anything because the further away you get, you have more obstacles in your way. You have more houses, then you have trees. B9 bottom diagram is the same thing taken through Hamilton Street, and you can see the same effect. Is that it? Okay, so that's it for the visual exhibits. I wanted to say something relative to bird strikes. We looked into that, and there's a couple of things at play with our design. The elevations of the building are designed with, and I mentioned this in my testimony about the aesthetic and the assemblage and the sort of depth that exists in our apartment building facades. All of the windows are recessed 8 to 10 inches from the facade at minimum. And then the building steps out and steps in again in reference to reactions that we had with the Historic Review Committee at making the building do some of the things that you wanted to see to break up monotony and regularity. It presents shadow lines, it sets the windows back, and it also makes the windows sit in the wall more in the same vein that the industrial buildings up Railroad do. In a masonry bearing wall condition, windows are set back into the masonry openings and are not out flush with the wall as there would be on a modern building. So we don't have any windows on this building that are set out flush with the facade. And according to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, who basically are one of the primary go-to departments at overseeing reducing the incidence of bird collision, by recessing windows, we're already taking steps to reduce the incidence of collision. Shadow lines are what are going to make the birds see that there's actually a physical wall involved here. The second thing that comes into play would be our roof overhang, which we have at various parts of that building, and projecting overhangs like our balconies, and then the fact that our balconies have railings on them. The guardrails of the balconies and the balcony projections further add to the shadow play on the walls, all contributing to a reduced incident of bird collision. We will likely restrict the use of bird feeders. Bird feeders would also be something that would be promoting the possibility of bird collision, so we will restrict the use of them entirely from the building. If there's an experience of repeated bird collisions with this building, we will move to window alert or feather friendly, these UV decals that can go on the windows where we start to see that we're having a problem. We'll implement that immediately following the incidence of trouble. And I think that's it. I think that's it we were asked to respond to relative to architectural questions.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Next, our civil engineer has a couple items
that, to add to the record. Thank you. Good evening. This is Paul Winters, you're sworn in.
What's your name under, oh,
Thank you. Yeah, so there was just two brief things, I wanted to touch upon based upon, receipt of a memorandum from the board planner. Which was just to assert some parameters of the bulk standards from our plans and just provide a clarification or two. That's a memorandum dated March 25th, 2026 for the record. That was just asking.
Speak up just a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Just was asking us to verify a few of the, bulk standards on our plans and provide clarification. And those two categories of bulk standards, one is the maximum impervious coverage. The other is open space. As required for the redevelopment plan, the maximum impervious coverage is permitted to be 75%. The plans, as noted, indicate an existing condition of 65.88%, which is applicable to the building lot. For the parking lot portion of the redevelopment area, that part is 85.36%. When taken combined, the existing condition impervious coverage is 70.11%. And again, that's the existing condition. As a result of the redevelopment, the impervious coverage on the building lot will be 51%. The parking lot coverage side will remain at 85.36% when taken combined. The impervious coverage post redevelopment is 66.81%. That is still a reduction over existing conditions. And that is compliant with 75% requirement for impervious coverage. The other number I wanted to reaffirm, which is noted in our plan.
just for clarity, the standard for the development is 75%, the existing conditions is 70.11.
Yes,
And the proposed, reduces it to 66.81.
yes. And the other bulk standard category was open space, and I just want to confirm, as presented on the plan, the proposed condition is 21% of the site will be open space. That I'm confirming that is still correct. And that complies where the minimum requirement is 15% of the tract shall be set aside for open space, and we meet that at 21%. I believe those were the only two parameters, unless the planner had any other questions about our bulk standards. Otherwise, we have no exception taken to that subject.
Okay, I was just gonna ask, so all of the proposed conditions I've outlined, you're affirming are correct
Yes,
from.
we take no exception to those.
Thank you.
I think that was all I had at this time.
Thank you, thank you.
Mr. Albert?
Turn the mics up or have you adjust them for speakers? It's hard to hear.
It's very hard to hear.
I think we just have to have our speakers speak louder. Yeah,
And closer to the microphone.
yeah.
Microphone's not working.
This was supposed to be tonight.
You couldn't do it.
Oh, good. Okay. Oh,
Is it that one?
This is just for recording.
Yes, speak loud.
Okay, we'll speak loud. These will. Joanna, I think these are working.
Yeah. But it's for recording, not for.
No, it's amplifying.
This one is not.
Yeah, so
Can you say something into this?
I don't need that.
Is this louder?
Give me a mic. That's all we got.
That's all we got.
Okay, well, this.
Yeah. There we go.
Listen, you know, the guy.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have 15?
You were sworn in at the first meeting and you still remain under oath.
Yes,
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Jeffrey Albert.
Jeffrey Albert.
So I'm going to give a very brief overview of a couple of things for informational purposes only. As they're not strictly a board consideration, but we were asked to testify as to them and obviously wanted to do so. So the first is there are going to be remediation controls during the demolition and a little bit of a primer on vapor intrusion.
Council, that these are
numbered starting with C1.
Okay, so we left off this, C1 will be exhibit A40. And we're gonna mark them on the exhibits themselves, so we have a hard copy, so it's gonna be clear.
Okay.
I'm
So-
sorry, do we have a hard copy of these or you'll provide?
I do
Yes,
have a hard
we do
copy
have
right
one.
here,
Okay.
so I'm marking it.
Okay, sorry.
So I want to just give you a very brief overview of the remediation status of the site. This is, I should note immediately that this is highly regulated by the DEP. The DEP oversees every aspect of the remediation. There are two aspects of contamination on the site. One is soil and the other is groundwater. Soil has been remediated to unrestricted residential standards throughout the entire site. There's one portion of one aspect of the building that has not been fully characterized to the satisfaction of Rockwell and their environmental consultant. To DEP standards, everything is now has been signed off. There's an RAO on soil remediation, and that is again to unrestricted residential standards. Groundwater is a continuing issue. It's a continuing issue not just for this site, but for a lot of their neighboring properties, unfortunately. And that is under a continuing pump and treat system that Rockwell is undergoing and will continue to undergo for probably the next 15 to 25 years. It's just the nature of groundwater contamination. But since all the systems for the area and for our site are going to be public systems, public water, public sewer, et cetera, there should not be any deleterious interaction. So let me review the demo controls. And these are controls that are stated already in the redevelopment agreement. So we are contractually obligated to fulfill them. I think that's very important to note. They're all, as I said, they're all in the redevelopment agreement, and we are a party to that agreement that we are contractually obligated. The first is a pre-demolition asbestos survey and abatement. The survey has actually been conducted, the abatement has not, but that will be the first order of business in the demolition. There'll be a pre-demolition hazardous substances survey as well. That has also been conducted already, but obviously nothing has happened as yet, since the building is obviously not prepared for demolition yet. The next is a demolition permit. This is a very extensive permit that has a lot of requirements that are really protective of the community as well as the site itself. There's a variety of different aspects of that permit that need to be achieved before we even start any a portion of the demolition. During demolition, there's a series of dust control measures that will be undertaken. And I want to reemphasize that these are things that are already in the redevelopment agreement that not only we've agreed to, but also our prospective contractors have also been contracted to, or have agreed to put into their contracts. And mostly they surround dust mitigation during demolition. So there'll be mist cannons, there'll be wetting and sweeping of paved areas, the dust suppressants, among the measures that will be taken. And throughout the entire process, there'll be air monitoring on all the entire perimeter of the site. Those are the measures that have been already prescribed for demolition. As to vapor intrusion, there is a variety of different aspects of this that I want to try to review. So
just for clarity, because this seems to be like a presentation, I'm gonna mark all of it as exhibit, as we said, A40. And I'm gonna describe it as a presentation of 13 pages. the bottom refers to them as pre-marked exhibit C1 through C13. So for the record, exhibit A40 will be a 13-page presentation on remediation demo vapor intrusion of 13 pages. And they're pre-marked as with C. And if you want to refer to one, just
Okay.
refer to that label, and then it'd be clear for the record what you're referring to.
Okay, I will. So this is exhibit C11. I guess I should explain that vapor is a problem when there are chemicals in the either deep in the soils or in groundwater that that migrate or potentially can migrate into structures above. And these are very common. Radon is one of those aspects. It's not specifically a vapor intrusion issue, but it's very, very similar. And it's attacked in a very similar way. Engineered vapor barriers are very common. They're readily available. Again, they're very similar to radon mitigation, which I think a lot of people are familiar with. The systems are routinely installed during construction and are a part of new building construction. In consultation with the environmental consultant that is working on behalf of Rockwell, they've identified only one portion of one of our buildings that, strictly speaking, would require vapor mitigation. We are installing vapor mitigation in all the buildings as an abundance of caution. And because, unfortunately, groundwater is very difficult to define, it can migrate. This is what the systems generally look like. They're very commonly constructed with a stone base, a vapor barrier, a membrane, and then pipes that go through that membrane and then are tacked and then go through the building and then have have either an active or a passive way for air filtration to move essentially from the earth out into the air. At which point it becomes not harmful in any way. So these are not, these are installed very routinely and very commonly, and that is the vapor intrusion system that we intend to employ. I want to change subjects entirely now to just put on the record that we are eliminating any roof deck activities and any roof deck. If there are other things I can say that get applause, I really we understand the issues with it and have decided to eliminate it from our proposals. Thank you.
Thank you.
One quick question, just to follow up. So you have the RAO, it's a unrestricted for residential use, is that correct?
Yes, for soil.
Right, for soil.
Correct.
I also have a question. You mentioned the air monitoring. Is that gonna be done in real time with feedback
Yes.
on site? So
Yes.
It's not like at the end of the day, we look.
No. It's in real time and it covers the entire perimeter of the site
Okay.
and captures anything that's coming off the site.
Okay.
Thank you. No.
Okay, that completes that additional testimony that was requested. At this point, I'd like to invite up our traffic expert, Victor Anasike, and qualify him and have him speak to our traffic study.
Mr. Nasike, I think we had you, were you sworn in before?
No.
Oh, you weren't, okay. Please state your name, spell your last name for the record.
First name is Victor, last name is Anosike, spelled Anosike.
And do you swear affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Yes, could you please give the board the benefit of your professional qualifications
I have a bachelor of degrees in civil engineering. I have over 35 years experience in traffic and transportation engineering. Licensed in 3 states, New Jersey.
Sorry, could you speak up a little bit?
I'm licensed in 3 states, New Jersey, Delaware, and New York. And I've testified before several boards. I've not testified before this borough before. I've testified before the counties, Gloucester County, Camden County, Winslow Township, Burlington, City of Burlington, Marlborough, Mercer County. I've been before the Borough of Pennington. I've been before Ewing Township. I have served as board traffic engineer for many boards. Currently, I'm serving as traffic engineer for West Windsor, West Princeton. I have been that for West Windsor. I've testified before in the mid-2000s. I did consult for Hopewell Township across the world.
So, and I'm asked,
Wait, I don't think he's done.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
yeah, no, so no, I was just gonna say your license.
My license is
Current.
is current
And so we'd like
in all
to,
the 3 states.
we'd like to, request that Mr. Hennessy can be recognized as an expert in traffic.
We will recognize him in a second.
Okay, thank you.
I also like to add that I'm also a professional traffic operations engineer. So that's part of it. So I'm going to talk about the traffic study that we did. I will summarize the study. So I don't want to go into the details, but I'll go into the major parts of it that I think should enlighten everybody as to what we did. In order to determine what the impact of a new development will be, the first thing you do is to establish the amount of trips that the new site will generate. There's a procedure for that. It's called the trip generation. There's an industry standard that is used, the Institute of Transportation Engineers, which is ITE. They have a manual, which is a generally accepted national standard in the US, and I dare say elsewhere in the world, in Europe and other countries, is accepted as a standard. It's been used since in 1976, when was the first time the first edition was published, so it's over 50 years. So we use that manual to determine what amount of trips that this site will generate when it's built. I can report to you that as traffic engineers, we look at the peak traffic generation, not any other hour. The worst case scenario is what we look at. So the peak hours are in the morning, the commuter peak, which is between 8 and 9, and in the afternoon is between 5 and 6 p.m. For this site, based on the ITE, the AM peak will generate a total of 59 trips. And the PM trip will generate a total of 69 trips. So 59 in the morning peak, 69 in the AM peak. And that this, we're talking about just the peak hour. I should say, when we talk about trip, it's not necessarily vehicles. It could be vehicles, but a trip is described as a one-way movement to the site, to and from the site. So for example, if a vehicle enters the site, it counts as one trip. If another vehicle leaves the site, it counts as another trip. So one vehicle could make 2 trips. Could go in and come out, that's 2 trips. So 59 trips might not be 59 vehicles, could be 30 vehicles. I just want to put that in, as, something to have the background. So the other thing we did was, we looked at what is existing or what was existing there, or what could be existing there. The light industrial, which is the site that was there, and compared how much trip that site would generate or was generating before to what this site would generate. In the AMP, a light industrial, which will be the least generator of industrial sites. There are bigger industrial sites that generate more, but the light industrial is the least. We generate 75 trips in the peak AM morning, which will be 16 trips more than what this residential will generate. In the PM, it will also generate 76 trips, which is about 7 trips more than the 69 trips that I previously mentioned that this site will generate. So based on that, you can conclude that the trip generation it will be deemed conservative, if to say anything. I can consider conservative because there are so many factors that we didn't account for. For example, residential use now we know there's a trending work habit where people work from home, remote work or hybrid work. New Jersey is among the first 10 states in the country that have a high level of hybrid work. From 2021, it came from 20% to about 15% in 2025. That's about 15% of people are either working remotely or in hybrid or flex time kind of work. We didn't account for that. We typically we could account for, but we didn't account for that. So again, that makes this trip generation a little bit more conservative. So then we did capacity analysis in order to actually establish what the impact will be. We'll talk about delays. That's what people feel. It's what people can measure, how much time they wait. So the capacity analysis establishes how much delay a motorist will experience at an intersection, at a given intersection. So we looked at 4 study intersections, 3 on Hamilton, that would be Hamilton and Lafayette, Broad Street, East Broad Street, and then the Railroad Place and Somerset. And then the 4th was North Greenwood Avenue and Railroad Place. So those were the 4 intersections that we looked at, primarily because will carry majority of the traffic going towards Broad Street. We did the analysis for the existing condition and the no build, which will be the year that this site will be built, but without the site traffic. We compared the existing, the no build, and the build condition will be when the site is actually built. And the results show that the increase in delay at these intersections are very minimal. There is no noticeable increase in delay that you will attribute to the site. At the minimum, the maximum we'll notice was less than 10 seconds of increase in delay at the worst case scenario. based on that, there's no improvement that is really required at the intersections. The intersections have the capacity to carry the traffic as it is. The intersection of Hamilton and Lafayette right now has a stop sign on the Lafayette approaches. However, there's a crosswalk across the Hamilton. Even though it's a free flow, there's a crosswalk there. So the drivers will have to yield to pedestrians on their own. There's no physical traffic control that stops them to yield to pedestrians crossing that Hamilton. That's a safety issue that is existing, which can be addressed. We were asked to look at a roundabout, the feasibility of a roundabout at that location. We didn't think a roundabout or any improvement was required because, like I said, the increase in delay was minimal. What we established that a roundabout, a mini roundabout, can fit within the pathway of that intersection. No full design was done for that, but that was established based on the ask that we had. I just want to talk just briefly about the site circulation and that will be all. The circulation hours within the site are two-way, 24 feet wide, which is in keeping with accepted standards. So this provides for the most efficient operation that allows vehicles to park while opposing vehicles are coming in the other direction. So that's the existing standard. Side distances to and from the side driveways were deemed sufficient based on ASTO standard. The speed limits on all the streets that we looked at were 25 miles per hour. So we're looking at least 200 feet of side distance, and I think we will satisfy that. It was already specified. So in conclusion, it's my professional opinion that the traffic impact will be minimal. The increase in delays at all the intersections will be within the acceptable norm. I will also say that the increase in traffic itself falls within the daily fluctuation of traffic. If the site was not built, there are days where you come and you will have 5% increase in traffic or 10% increase in traffic. And some days there will be 10% less traffic at any given location. These are daily fluctuations. For whatever reason, people might go some other direction. This happens normally. It's allowed in traffic engineering, 10% fluctuation. These volumes are going to be within or less than that daily fluctuation of traffic. So with all this, I can conclude that there will be no significant impact. Will there be some delays? Yes, there's going to be delays. Will it be that noticeable that you have queues? No. So that will be my conclusion. It will be my professional opinion. And with that, I can take questions.
Mr. We want our.
Yeah, unless the board has a very specific question right off the bat, it makes sense to have our consultant give his opinion on the testimony presented and the report that was provided by the applicant, and to see if he has any suggestions or Additional thought. Yes.
And I know you've consulted with the fire marshal has consulted with you. Just for our record, will you be able to probably state about the access and not at this moment?
It's in this report.
I know, I'm just saying,
Oh,
you
okay.
can do that verbally.
Okay.
And not
Sure.
in the report.
Whenever you
Thank you.
I had a technical question.
Yeah.
On the corner of Hamilton, making a left onto East Broad, there's a traffic light there.
Right.
Did your analysis take?
No.
There is no light.
There's a light close to there, but there's not a light.
Well, not right
We
there.
can't have any testimony from the audience. This is
But-
for the
This
witness.
is for him.
Yeah.
I'm asking if the analysis that you did of making a left-hand turn from Hamilton onto East Broad took into consideration that there was a light at Princeton Avenue very close to that.
Okay, so, I'll answer it two ways. Did we analyze the signal there? No.
Or the impact of the signal on
Yes,
cars making a left turn.
yes. The signal provides a gap. So there are times when cars will come to the signal and they meet a red light,
Mhm.
they will queue.
Mhm.
Regardless of whether there's any car coming from Hamilton or not, they're gonna queue there. Now, what is important to the engineer is what happens when the signal goes to green? Does the queue continue to back up? Does it filter out, right? Now, I've driven there several times during the peak hours since we started the study. I've been there, I'll say, I know a lot of you you do that every day, but from my observation, what happens is when the traffic that is coming from East Brunswick, Broad Street, trying to turn left onto Princeton Ave. It's a one-day approach. When they get a green, if the first car that wants to turn left it has the green, they're held by the opposing vehicle. So what happens is they pull back the other traffic behind them. That creates the gap for people on Hamilton to be able to turn in. So go ahead.
What about the people backing up at the light?
Because
Going east?
yeah, they have green, so they're going. They're already going because the left turn into Princeton is held.
Okay, but in any case.
There's gaps.
So when you do the analysis, it's not a simple left-right analysis. You took into account the fact that there was a light relatively close.
Exactly.
Okay, that was my focus.
I have a question. How many different ways are there? I mean, most of the people I would assume in that area are, we all do come out to Broad Street. So. We can't hear you. Move the mics. Thank you. So my question, I'm assuming that most of the traffic is gonna get to just going to Broad Street because that's the main. So from that building, how many different ways can you get to Broad Street?
There's several different ways. It depends on their ultimate destination. And the way, part of what we'll do is to generate a trip distribution. What is the most likely path that traffic will follow? Like water. It flows like water. So there are some roads, Lafayette on the left side, on the westbound side, they will go and meet up Elm Street right here and come out on the other way. That's one part. There's some that might take Lafayette on the other side and go to the other end and meet Blackwell or whatever it is. So there's others that will take Somerset and go the other way. Then there's others that will continue on Hamilton to get to East Broad. Traffic was distributed to these areas based on the existing traffic pattern. Because this area is all residential. So we'll have to assume that this residential unit, the use that is coming in, will mimic that pattern of how people travel in those areas. So the distribution was based on how traffic is moving on that way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So if I may, turning left is an impossibility on,
Where?
onto Broad Street, 518, just from my humble experience. Turning left at peak hours is very tough right here. So what I'm trying to understand is how many more people are we backing up at trying to go left here, trying to go left at Hamilton, and it's a little scary trying to turn left on Greenwood Avenue. We have to acknowledge that too. So, I just want to feel better about, understanding how many more people will really be traveling down, like how many more people down Hamilton, how many more people down Lafayette? And then how are they turning left on Greenwood? And then are they cutting through other back streets? So so I'm trying to get a whole picture here, and if this is not the right time to ask, let me know.
So it is.
But I live on Hart Avenue. And I see some of my peeps here, but we get a lot of people cutting through. And we also, for me, I need to take into consideration, and I don't know if this is in, what you do. We have a lot of aggressive drivers that we've been dealing with, and maybe this is a pedestrian group question on how we keep the traffic calming. Yesterday on Hart Avenue, somebody tried to pass me on the left as I was slowing down to pull into my driveway. Second time in 2 weeks. That's not you, that's not your group, that's what's happening in the town. So we have to be really realistic about what, as residents, we're dealing with existing conditions. In theory, the new people here will also drive slowly because the locals drive slowly through Cuthbert. I'm just gonna take a big guess at that, but it's people who are trying to slip through, and because these are new, will be new, how will they attack it when they have to hit the road to get to 95, to get to Pennsylvania, Princeton? And that's one of a couple questions I do.
So I understand what you're saying. There's how would I put this? This is an existing condition. A lot of what you talked about goes to enforcement for people who are speeding and all that. It's more of an enforcement issue, right? Not so much of.
Well, that's a Hopewell Township police question.
Right.
Okay.
So it's not so much of traffic volume. It's more of driver behavior.
Yes.
So what happens is, in a new development like this, most of the people who are going to come in are going to be new to the environment. And it's human behavior that they learn. They don't know the environment well. So they will conform to everything at the beginning. That's what happens in every case, right? So what I'm saying is, why I say that is, you're not going to have people come out and start speeding just because they moved into an area.
And maybe that's a GPS question because they cut people through the back streets.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's an existing condition. Yeah, I can't.
So
We're not routing. Our distribution did not put traffic in those routes. So we looked at the worst case scenario.
Okay, and another worst case scenario.
And those are those intersections.
And if this is not a part of it, let me know. This was done in May 2025. Your
The
traffic.
study, yes.
Yeah, the study. The pressure from all the buildings going up on Scotch Road and Pennington Circle. And now right here in Skillman, are we dealing with more there too? Does that have any impact on new people, new residents
Well,
in the area and existing residents?
I can't comment on the traffic from outside the immediate study area. So
Okay.
I don't know
Okay,
what drives their movement.
okay, how did we find that out to know if there's been an increase in traffic?
Well, we did,
And will be, I don't know if they're all moved
Well,
in yet.
the analysis we did included any new approved developments in the area. Their traffic was added in the future, background traffic. And the existing traffic was also projected by a growth factor that this traffic is going to grow in the future. So it's not just the existing condition that was analyzed, it was the future condition with expectation of this additional traffic. And that's what the results show.
Okay. Sun glare, do you take any of that into consideration? I say that, my son was just rear-ended, everybody knows 579, 518, and I know it was because of the sun. So that's something else to consider, it's very, we have a lot of.
With regards to traffic impact,
Moving on?
Yeah.
Okay. They don't wanna consider this.
we're-
Right at the tomato factory,
Yes.
the sun is very hot. And 3 years ago, when we were discussing the impact of sky cannabis, the day before, when parents were concerned about the traffic with sky cannabis there, if I'm pointing in the right direction, I went to turn left at the tomato factory and I couldn't see. And I thankfully caught a silhouette of a mother and her daughter, and they hopped over the curb. And I don't mean to be dramatic about it, but I think it's important to share this. And then once the glare cut, I could see them and we waved to each other, but that still impacts me today, what I saw there. And never mind what the sun can do. So I threw it out for, consideration. Thank you there.
Okay, Bob.
I just have, I'm gonna go back to your study. So you mentioned that the increase is de minimis.
Yes.
By measuring, okay, I know you measured the impact of the traffic for the new development, and you compared that to the traffic of the fully built out industrial area, or the as-is traffic situation in that industrial today? Because you can't compare both, you have to compare apples to apples here.
Okay, maybe, let me clarify that. What I said is, we looked at the trip generation itself, is how much trip will this generate in the peak hour? So just.
For the apartments.
For the apartments.
Yep.
So we determined that is 59. And just as for comparison's sake, we looked at what the previous site would be generating if it was still operating. We just looked at it, that's not what we compared.
But you're saying there's a de minimis change, but that's not the true impact of the site, because there's nothing happening there.
No. What I'm saying is, the side strips now for this residential is what is now added to the existing traffic at all the intersections that are already projected to the build year. So this is how it's done. The site is not built. This site that we're Hopewell 57 is not built.
Right.
So we analyze the intersection of Lafayette and Hamilton as it is today.
Okay.
What is the delay there? Let's say it's 10 seconds, right? Well, we project that traffic volume there to 2028 by a growth factor, right? And analyze that 2028 by a growth factor without the site being built.
So why did you, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but why did you even bring up the light industrial generates this many trips? And the new development will generate this many trips. So as you can see, the new development generates less trips than the light industrial did. I mean, why did you even bring that up?
I was just,
I mean, you're not.
the reason I brought it up is that the light industrial existed before, right? At some point it operated.
Well, yes, so at some point, yes.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is the roadway conditions, the intersections have not changed. The capacity of those intersections remain the same since when the light industrial was built. So if the light industrial carried those intersections with a heavy traffic, with a heavier amount of traffic, I'm just trying to show that this one will also be able to accommodate that intersection. That's the whole comparison about it. But then we went ahead to do the analysis with our own trips to see what will be the increase if you add the trips from this site.
Okay.
And that's the minimum increase that we're talking about, not the.
It's not unusual, if I may, just for the board's sake. It's not unusual for a traffic expert to take a look at what's there and like the existing, even though the site's vacant, if it was cleaned up and repopulated, just to see what the traffic was, to get a feel for what would be generated under the existing infrastructure and use, and compare it to what's being proposed, because it's a different use. It's just a degree of measurement. So
No,
you could just.
I understand that, Christopher, I understand that, but
Yeah.
as of last 5 years, there's been zero traffic there, right? I mean, as long as, maybe longer, so, but, okay. I'm gonna let our own.
Yeah, what I can tell you, because I lived on that street when the factory was working and there was never a problem. As a point of.
So do we have any more questions for the traffic engineer for the meeting? Okay. Oh,
Our prep.
yeah.
Yes.
Is Mr. Anasike done
Right on.
for now?
Yeah, I mean, you have anything else? Your presentation be.
No, I don't have
We need to
anything
discuss.
else. If
You may
there's
want to stay
anything I-
around just in case.
Okay.
So what?
Did I have you sworn in? Did I have you sworn in? I don't
I
know.
don't-
Let's just,
No.
just state your name for the record.
Yes, Marco Navarro, Navarro.
Sorry, one more time.
Marco
Marco, and then spell last name.
Navarro, Navarro.
Thank you.
And you swear firm tell the truth?
Do I have to raise my hand? I don't. Fair enough.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Marco, pull that electrode closer to yourself.
Okay.
Please.
See if that's working.
Can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me? Okay,
It's not plugged in to anything.
Oh.
All right, so just.
I'll speak loud. So,
I'm gonna do this, how's that?
oh, okay. Hello? So what I'm observing here is that there are two distinct topics going on. There is what is occurring in the borough now operationally versus what Hopewell 57 plans on doing. These two are not necessarily overlapping or contiguous at all times. So what I'm going to do first is evaluate Hopewell 57 in the sense of what their trip generation and traffic is doing. And once we clarify that, we can then look at other issues that are going on in a general sense for sort of like the area intersections. How the traffic, how Mr. Anasike and the applicant have done, they've followed the typical standards as set forth by ITE as well as by the New Jersey Highway Access Code. New Jersey Highway Access Code as well as ITE have stated that if you are under 100 trips, regardless of the trips, if you are under 100 trips, the operations of any intersection nearby are de minimis. He's already established that through his testimony. In addition to that, getting back to Mr. Donaldson's comment, and partial confusion as to what, between the past site and what the current site is. This is something that I found 2 weeks ago for a different town and a different application, is that per New Jersey Highway Access, so let me step back a little bit. So he gave a comparison of what the likely probable past trip generation was of the light industrial area is, and compared it to what Hopewell 57 trip generation plans on being. Technically, he could have used, or Bowman could have used a credit, and the analysis would have even been more of a wash than he actually presented, because per the New Jersey Highway Access Code, you're allowed to do that. If there is a site with an existing access and permitted use that was approved, whether it is currently still vacant or not, you are technically allowed to take a credit of that property towards any new development. In this case, they did not do that. So they're just reporting on the 59 in the AM and the 69 in the PM, which on occasion you may see a queue here and there, but you're not going to see it in the grand scheme of things. Operationally, you won't feel it for the site itself in terms of traffic analysis for the site. Most of my questions were answered before through different testimonies and through discussions with Mr. Winters, which I'll bring up for different parts of the site plan, but that's not you. That's not your realm for the report. So I am okay, and I agree with Mr. Anasike's assessment of how the traffic would operate for the site. His trip distribution, I'm not sure if Ms. Lyon or Ms. Perry asked the question, I kind of forget. But his trip distribution primarily used Hamilton as the primary means of access, which I'm also in agreement with. It's not as if he looked at railroad and said, you know what, just to kind of squeeze by, let me put 50 trips on railroad to go down and miss it, and then let me put the other remainder on Hamilton to go to Elm. Everything primarily traveled down Hamilton or up Hamilton, and in the analysis, there was no issue. ITE allows you to have, ideally, level of service goes A through F. ITE pretty much says once you get to D, we might have an issue. All of Mr. Anasike's analysis was that LOSC only in one instance and LOS A or B otherwise. So there's no issue for the development in and of itself. I have some other questions related to the site plan, but in terms of the TIS, with the exception that I discussed with Mr. Winters, because I did not see that the TIS had the, well, let me rephrase. There was no table for the level of service for the build condition. However, the printouts were there, and upon reading the printouts, all of the printouts showed that it would be LOSC or better. In that sense, minor discrepancy, but overall, in terms of an actual package and the intent of the report and what we're talking about for the site, the site is deemed acceptable by me operationally in terms of what it's going to contribute or not contribute to the traffic for the borough in this area.
So I'm sorry, Brian, so. And this might not be for the applicant, but this is for the borough.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
And that's why I'm asking you directly.
sure.
How do we realistically, this is just realistically deal with the traffic from this site coming up Hamilton and trying to make a left on
Yeah.
East Broad? That's never going to happen. And people are gonna just do cut throughs through the properties until they find some viable exit. That's a realistic problem that we are going to face. The other thing that we're gonna face, and I don't wanna be around for this, because it'll be ugly, is someone's gonna go all the way up Railroad, and they're gonna make a left on Greenwood, and someone's gonna come over that crest, and there is going to be a nasty, nasty accident, because and this is not your issue, this is the borough issue. I mean, even today, that is a horrible intersection right there at Chubby's, because you come over that crest, I slam on my brakes when I come over that crest. So for the site, maybe the Hamilton left on East Broad is gonna be an issue, because you can't get there. But the other one might not be their issue, that might be our borough issue.
Yeah, I think what we have here is discrepancy between standard and common sense.
Yeah.
We all know that there's gonna be more traffic, and we all know that it's gonna go to Maple, it's gonna go to Elm, it's gonna go to Greenwood, we all know that. And so the standards may be one thing, but come on. We know there's gonna be a big impact.
Okay, but what's the option? Don't
We,
do anything?
no, it is,
We accept that.
no.
It's a trade-off.
And our charge is not to, our charge is to see if the applicant meets the standard.
Correct.
And they do. With respect to traffic. But we all know there is gonna be a problem. Okay, well, but that's what you're saying, that it's for the
And,
borough.
yeah, with respect to that, that would have to be something outside of the board per se.
It's a legislative action.
Yeah, and
Right,
kind of.
so there's two things here. We're talking about legislative action that is, I heard somebody yell, one way or stop signs or things like that, and that comes from Borough Council. The option that the planning board can do that's outside of this application would be something called a circulation plan study, where you're going to assess all of the traffic in the borough and where we can do things to improve that. And that's not this application, but that's something that the planning board does have in their purview to.
But this application will impact Hamilton Broad. I mean, that's.
And people making a left onto Hamilton from Broad, it goes up by like 400%, as I figured the numbers.
Yeah.
It goes from like 4 to 19. It peak out.
What I find odd is that you call this cut through. When we originally looked at this, I thought, well, this is great. And that's why I asked the question. There's so many different ways of getting in and out. I saw that as a huge positive for the site. Because it meant that people are smart. If they go down one and then back, find out at 8 o'clock in the morning, it backs up, they say, I'm gonna go another way, just like I do out of my house every morning, as we all do. So I see that as a positive and not a negative.
I have a safety question that I think we've discussed briefly, Marco, but it hasn't been too addressed here. The idea of the roundabout, were you getting to that? I'm sorry, okay.
And the EV.
You wanna finish traffic flow before you go on to that?
So, because that's site plan related to the traffic study, I have no more comments related to the traffic study. For the site plan, you're correct. Based on the operations and the future operations that have been projected, which I agree with, I am, how do I best put this? I am, while a roundabout is a solution, is an alternative.
Let me ask you it this way. Are there, you've seen their presentation, their plan, their site plan?
Yes,
And when you take a look at it, are there certain elements around it that would enhance safety, particularly for traffic, for pedestrians, for bicyclists?
yes,
And that's really what, we should focus on, or maybe make some.
yes. And as a result, with that, the roundabout in and of itself is not really an option to sort of alleviate those concerns and conditions.
So you have a recommendation for something else?
Yes.
Thank you.
So, would you be able to pull up the intersection
Yeah. As it exists today?
as it exists today? Google Street View is fine. Or even that's fine. Can you possibly blow that up a little bit or? In and of itself, roundabouts do not really help with the.
So can we just identify this exhibit?
It's been presented, it's exhibit A6.
So it was, yeah, and at the time, that is the actual exhibit. So we're referring to A6 now. We're gonna zoom into the property showing Lafayette intersection with Hamilton, which is where they propose this.
Yes,
this road.
correct.
Okay.
So before getting here, I'm sorry. You won't see.
So just so I'm clear,
Yes,
a circle works, but but there would be other suggestions that would improve safety?
usually a traffic circle is often installed in areas where vehicular flow is relatively equal across all approaches. And it's also usually done potentially as an alternative to installing a traffic signal. So if you don't really think that a traffic signal, think is not the right word. If it's been analyzed.
More into traffic was the question.
Right, if it doesn't really meet the warrants of a traffic signal, but something needs to be done, potentially a roundabout or mini roundabout can be a solution to that area. In light of the fact that Mr. Mr. Anasike looked at, did the study, and upon my review, collectively, we are in a general agreement, even though through different means, that there's not necessarily a whole lot of volume in here to necessarily justify a mini roundabout, particularly since most of the volume still travels along Hamilton. And so, as a result of, we can get into the roundabout design if we need to, but as a result of it, some of my initial thoughts and recommendations of this is, in order to keep sort of the neighborhood feel of the area, other means that you could use to, enhance, promote more community safety, walkability, et cetera, are a few things. And I'm not sure if I should be up here or over there. Maybe I'll go over there so you can see it and then we can transfer it. Otherwise, I can explain it. So I'm used to doing it technically. So on the, keep it up, please. Oh. So on the, assuming north is up, on the eastern leg of the intersection, the sidewalk ends here. You can continue the sidewalk to the rest of the intersection on the south side.
Candace is going to relay it.
So the other one.
To the right. So a thought could be continue the sidewalk west to the center of the intersection.
And Hamilton.
Into Hamilton. there is,
Not all the way.
Everybody, please, I wanna make sure the record's clean. Everybody will have an opportunity to speak. Let's just go through and hear what he
I
has
got
to say.
talked around here, the conversations extend all the way.
so effectively continue here, the sidewalk. And can I point there? Sorry.
There you go.
Continue there, the sidewalk.
Yeah.
To create a curb ramp right around here or so, in a general sense. In addition, there happens to be a utility pole here. We're trying not to necessarily move that. Utility poles are expensive. I know that from a different project. There is a possibility of creating a curb ramp to curb ramp. So going from the south side of Lafayette to the east side of Hamilton, basically making a 90 to create a curb ramp there and making a crosswalk south and a crosswalk east. That's one, oh, I'm sorry about that. So creating this sidewalk, creating a crosswalk here. There's a utility pole here in a general sense. From this curb ramp, go around the utility pole to roughly, let's call it here. So that there's a continuation, there's a small continuation of sidewalk from the south side of Lafayette. So to the east side of Hamilton. Thereby you can create a crosswalk here. And a crosswalk here. Is that understood?
Yeah. And there's two existing crosswalks on the other side.
There are already, as you well know, there's already a crosswalk, yes, on the north, let's call it the north leg, and on the west leg.
Doesn't the sidewalk have to be extended on the east leg of Hamilton heading toward Lafayette?
Yes, that is the last portion, correct. On the eastern side of Lafayette, the crosswalk kind of ends in a weird way. That crosswalk could be extended to basically solidify the creation of a southern crosswalk. That's correct, yes. Thanks for pointing out, because I completely.
And that would be a four-way stop.
Yeah, he's getting there.
In doing that, the main okay, so let's just talk about crosswalks right now. That helps keep the general continuity of the flow of the intersection. Generally speaking, we're not doing a whole lot reconfiguration necessarily. Yes, sidewalk and construction and curbs do take time and labor and money, et cetera, but it's a more clean flow for the neighborhood and it still maintains a general neighborhood feel. Additionally, as pointed out, not only by chief?
No, I'm sorry, no, fire official.
By the fire official, as well as members of the fire official for the maneuverability of a truck throughout the intersection, being that throughout the intersection with a roundabout, it becomes a little tricky based on the size of trucks. Additionally, if I understood correctly, at the time Mr. Bowman, at the time Mr. Winters presented on the first night, there apparently is a school bus stop on this side.
Yeah.
And maybe a potential school bus on this side. I don't know if that's correct or not.
Yep.
School buses are effectively the same size as fire trucks. They will also have challenges. Thank you. They would also have challenges. As a result, the more
Manageable.
There are two means to. There are two means to sort of address, walking, pedestrians, traffic alike. One means is to potentially install, rectangular rapid traffic, RFBs, rectangular rapid flashing beacons across the south and the north side, being as though Lafayette Street already has the stop signs there, or installing stop signs on the south side, on the southbound / northern leg, or on the northbound / southern leg.
Four-way stop.
Generally speaking, probably a four-way stop is likely the better condition based on concerns of the borough.
So just so I'm clear, I just want to make sure that we understood. So, in terms of numbers, the proposed plan meets the requirements of under our code. Our traffic consultant is recommending that maybe a different approach that's more in tune with the character would be a better option here. He's suggesting a four-way stop intersection, which would stop traffic moving in all directions and slow down traffic. Quite better actually than even a circle would, even though a circle does have a common effect. Adding, I guess they're called curb ramps to at least, I think, 2 intersections that don't have it now.
It would technically be three.
Three?
Three. Basically,
Mike, can you speak into the mic?
Oh, me?
Anyone who's speaking.
Okay, I'll speak louder. And then the last connection would be a sidewalk extension from that intersection on Lafayette Street up to the new existing sidewalk that continues down the street. Does that summarize your proposed?
that summarizes the intent. Yes, there might be a little bit
Okay.
finer details,
So,
but yes,
I
that's.
think the next approach is to see what the applicant has to say about those suggestions.
Yes, I can do
Unless
that.
Mr. Chair has some other.
No, Jeffrey seems to.
I could, yeah, I'm raring to respond to this, because in lieu of the roundabout, we'd be overjoyed to do this. To connect the sidewalks, I think makes a ton of sense. To create the full 4 crosswalks there, I think also makes a great deal of sense. And we recognize that the borough has to be involved in this, because I'm not sure the planning board can actually do that by itself.
No, I think, it's
But-
council action, because it was condition of the redevelopment.
And it also has to be, I guess, there's warrants for the traffic, stop signs and so forth. But, we are in complete agreement. As far as-
And in addition to that, I'll go here first. The applicant could still maintain their on-street parking, because I had some concerns with the corner on-street parkings with the mini roundabout. But the applicant would still be able to maintain their proposed on-street parking for the east side of the northern part of Hamilton, as well as the north side of the eastern part of Lafayette Street. Sorry, I have the cardinal directions, I have to kind of, which means basically this parking and that parking could be provided and also serve as sort of a deterrent for speeding, because you have more stuff in the roadway effectively.
But currently, we can park on those sides.
Yeah.
So Yes, one suggestion is that we limit it to just
Use
the
the
one
mic.
side.
Speak up.
Use the microphone.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I believe currently you can park on both sides, so,
Yes.
you know, it draws some question into some of the architectural drawings because it looks like the line is closer to the, other side of the road. I would suggest that we recommend that parking be limited on the opposite sides that you point out to.
Are you talking about Hamilton or Lafayette?
Both.
Yeah.
So the south side of Lafayette and the west side of Hamilton, you're suggesting
Correct.
no parking,
Correct.
just to be clear.
Again, this is a legislative,
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah,
That,
it's outside,
that,
but
I'm
we can
sure
make the
could be definitely
recommendation.
recommended. Procedurally, that wouldn't be here.
But how do you feel about that?
How do I feel about
About no parking on those two stretches?
on this side?
Yeah.
And on this side?
Yeah.
Can we, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Yes.
Mr. Young, sorry, I couldn't, over here, there's two on the curve. I wasn't sure, so, the recommendation or request is to, prohibit parking on this side of the road. Correct? Oh, sorry. The south side of the road.
yes,
And prohibit parking on the west side of Hamilton.
Yes.
Right. Generally speaking, I don't necessarily see that there's necessarily an issue with that. It would just have to be done through ordinance and
Yeah.
and sort of improvement, right?
Point out, can you do that again? Cause we didn't.
Yeah.
There's confusion on, from our standpoint, to what he's saying is, would be prohibited.
yes.
Prohibited, south side of Lafayette Street. Prohibited, west side of Hamilton.
And just to clarify, the board does not have the ability to make that determination. It's a borough council.
It would be a recommendation.
It would be a
if we decide that-
recommendation to the council.
For Hamilton, I'm sorry.
So I just want to make that clear. It would be part of our record.
Right, so, yeah, Christopher, if you could just make that super clear, we are going to make a recommendation.
Well, it seems like the enhanced safety suggestions by our consultant, the applicant has agreed to as an alternative plan. So the way I see it is that we take what we feel is the most appropriate for the character of the neighborhood, the safest for the neighborhood, for bikes, pedestrians, students, the kids, because we have some school buses very close by. We take what we believe is the most safest approach and we make that recommendation. And to the extent that those decisions have to be reviewed and approved by council, we would make that suggestion because we don't want things to get fumbled up. In the alternative, if that is not approved, we're back to the circle design. And in that case, it would have to be reviewed by our consultants to make sure that, based on what I heard him say, that it's safe in terms of parking spaces, and we may need to lose a parking space, one or two, I don't know, on either side, and that would be up to the consultants of the borough to review and make that determination. That would be the alternative plan. What is the actual proposal at this time?
To also be clear, what the applicant has provided in terms of the design of the mini roundabout was conceptual only. So things are gonna change, should the alternative not be accepted, what they have provided would change anyway slightly, because there were some concerns at the very least with the nearest parking for one, but also where the crosswalks were laid out.
Yeah, we were talking about shifting it further away.
So, if we decide, up here that four-way is a better way to go, and we decide to make that recommendation, And we make the recommendation to eliminate parking on the two sides of the street that we talked about. Are you in agreement with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Does the
Yeah, but-
elimination of parking?
Hold on. I am in, but she's more.
Well, I have a question about, do both of those
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
conditions need to be coupled together, or?
I don't know.
can it
I would,
just-
yes, I would separate those two
Okay,
conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
Because
I
the
would not
borough
put
may
myself-
not want to, well, I don't know what. the
No,
borough
no,
I
no,
think
I
that-
understand completely,
I think
and then
that
one really doesn't have anything to do with the other.
Restricting parking will become a, public, hearing and
Yeah.
also in front of council, so, to put the burden on this application at this time, it would be better if we just separate out the two.
Yes, that makes sense.
But in terms of safety, all the things I mentioned before, four-way stop, even if it is, the parking on one side or not, is not changed, it's still from a safety, pedestrian, biking standpoint, still the safest approach.
Are you asking if the four-way stop is the safest
Yeah,
approach?
yeah.
More than likely, yes.
Okay.
Based on not having full volumes and everything else, but based on the concerns of flow and whatnot. In addition to the fact that apparently, from what I'm trying to remember back from the first meeting, but from what I remember from the first meeting, there were concerns of a spillback along Hamilton traveling south, potentially through that intersection. And if that's the case, a mini roundabout's not gonna help you.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, could I interject here? I have a suggestion, and the suggestion is that to the extent that the Borough Council does not go along with a four-way stop there, instead of the fallback being the circle, the fallback could simply be the intersection as it is today. So that it stays the same geometry, there's no circle. The stop signs would be where they are. So that we're not confronted with the situation of having to deal with the circle and all the ramifications of it.
Yeah, no, I think that's good, but Christopher, I thought this was in the circle was in the redevelopment.
No,
plan. Am I not right?
it's not, no, I can clarify that.
Okay,
The circle was a suggestion of the bicycle safety.
Right.
And they asked us to incorporate it, and so we did, but it's not a part of the redevelopment plan at all.
oh, my mistake, okay.
So can I just throw in? two
Yes,
cents
oh, yeah.
Real quick?
Yes.
Fire service totally supports the elimination of roundabout. And the parking situation would also be an improvement.
Great, okay.
That's why I'm suggesting that the fallback not be.
Yeah.
No, I understand, I misunderstood.
Okay.
Where we were, okay.
But just to clarify, if the fallback is to retain the existing conditions, you would still do the sidewalks and the curb.
Well, again, to the extent that the borough
Yeah, you
permits
would.
it,
Right.
yes, we would.
Okay.
Because we would want to, have a higher level of safety in that intersection regardless of the final decisions.
So the circle's out.
Now I'm done with the site.
Are you? Okay.
But you have others,
Christopher?
questions, others, but not for.
Okay, let's turn to your report and see, were there any conditions or issues in your report, particularly something that should or may be maintained as a condition of approval? I don't think I saw it,
Not-
but I just want to make sure.
If I could get Mr. Winters up.
Mr. Winters?
So,
To the extent that there's empty seats next to you, you could probably just raise your hand. The people in the back could come in. The rows in the way back are now eliminated, so we have much less people than we did before. So you're welcome to stay out there, but if you want to come in, I think there's some extra seats and there's some room in the back as well.
So Marco, you're gonna have to speak up because he's got the mic.
okay, that's fine. So, Mr. Winters and I spoke previously, with respect to some of my comments. Just maybe the echoes from there. With respect to some of my comments and from my technical memo initially. There were concerns, generally speaking, of consistency among documents related to numbers of ADA versus EV. To the best extent, we have agreed, and I will allow him to state it, that we have come to an agreement that those discrepancies will be rectified. There was also concerns and questions related to the tandem spaces or the potential for tandem spaces on the, let's call it the satellite lot north of the site, and which he provided testimony for on the first night, in the sense that those tandem spaces would be reserved for 2-bedroom locations, because obviously if they're 1-bedroom, we've got an issue depending on who's parking where and at what time. The EV spaces, we've also addressed in terms of both ensuring that it follows, is it access code now? I forget where it is, but.
There were two provisions we agreed to, and some of this is repeat from testimony with the site, but just for the benefit of covering it with the board's traffic engineer at this time. We clarified we would provide the additional number of EV parking spaces as consistent with the state legislation.
Yes.
As well as ensuring that we have the correct percentage that have to be accessible for people with accessibility needs.
Correct. And if I don't, forgive me, if I don't believe it was stated in or shown on the site plan per se, but there was also consideration of providing EV spaces in the satellite lot as well. Was that correct?
We agree we will be providing, I think it's an additional 14 in that lot.
Okay. And then finally, there was also concerns about the fact that there's not necessarily, let's call it pavement striping, for lack of a better word. Originally, there was not a crosswalk provided from the satellite lot onto the main part of the property. And I believe either through testimony or a question, Mr. Winters agreed that that can be provided.
And yes, I can assert that we are going to provide a crosswalk there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. And if you would as well, just apparently to appease both the residents and the board, would you also please provide the signage for the stop for peds?
Yes, the mid-block crossing signage that's appropriate and typical for that kind of crossing, we will provide that, so it'll be adequate signage.
So in summary, how many EV spaces, how many EV ADA spaces?
It will be 28 total EV spaces that's to comply with the state requirement.
Okay.
5% of those have to be available, designed to accommodate people with disability.
Right.
So we will meet that number. Right? In this case, it'll be just the one space. I'm sorry, 2 spaces in this case.
Okay.
But that addresses the EV requirement.
Okay.
And I believe maybe my last question, which wasn't exactly answered, but I had just a question because I did not see it on the original site plan related to intersection site distance from the driveways. And if should there be an issue where the driveways themselves, do not provide ample site distance?
We will ensure that we depict those site distances, and if we have to make any adjustments to landscape placement to accommodate that, we will do so to provide clear.
And then that may also include potentially, assuming that, worst case scenario, that there isn't necessarily ample site distance from the 2 new driveways, they could also provide effectively the driveway sign on the main roads for the opposite direction.
Yeah, and we'll be happy to work with the roads engineer on that if there's any issues on the technical side resolving that, but we're confident we can do that.
Forgive me, that includes Somerset. The Somerset.
That includes this, that wouldn't. It wouldn't necessarily go that far.
Okay.
I don't have
We're just speaking in reference to the sight lines from the 2 site driveways only, since those are in our control to adjust anything that might be an obstruction of view out of those. So whether it's the driveway to Somerset or the driveway to Lafayette.
Correct.
Those are the 2 we're discussing about the sight lines.
Right. And that were all my.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a request for a 5-minute break, bathroom break, water break.
One bathroom.
So 5 minutes, we'll do it. Yeah.
Okay, we're live.
I don't know.
I think it is on my understanding that what happens now isn't just opening it up to any question. It is only to ask for the question towards is that correct?
No.
Yes, so I'm hearing.
So let me explain. As part of the hearing process, the public can participate. What we did to help get some information up front, we allowed questions of the applicant's consultants as they testify. At this point, all of their consultants have testified, so you are no longer limited just to ask questions. We are not muted anymore. No,
So we can
I have it
schedule a
on mute.
complaint?
Okay.
So we're circulating the list.
Yeah.
And instead of being limited, you have the ability to do all of your rights under the law, which is you can ask questions. So if you want to spend, a few minutes asking the traffic consultant questions, you can. If you want to ask the architect questions, you can. If you want to ask anybody that testified questions, you can. You have the right of cross-examination. You also have the ability to make your own case. You can make statements, pro, con, you could bring in witnesses, you could present exhibits. You have the ability to bring in whatever information you want as provided by the rules.
That's not what was presented when we first came in. Keith asked if we were how the testimony was gonna work. And it was said that we could ask, because last time we didn't get to finish asking our questions.
Right.
And I know that the board got to go back and ask the questions that weren't answered. But last time we were told that if we wanted to make sure things were followed up on that we had asked, it was our responsibility.
Yeah, you
So-
can bring that up during your.
But beforehand, what you said is that we could ask after the testimony, we could ask the questions of the traffic. Then we could also ask those lingering questions that we had from last time that the board was already allowed to ask, and only after that, we're going to comment. So now it's changing.
Well, regardless of whether you've interpreted it one way or another, the ability is you can do everything.
That's what the question asked in the beginning, and that because the
And
question.
the answer is, you can ask questions of the traffic consultant. You can ask questions of all their witnesses. And you can make any statements you want. We're not limiting, we're giving you more ability.
It's one of the reasons, I'm sorry, one of the reasons this has worked so well and that I commend the board and you for doing is that we are only allowed to ask questions. Because everyone in this room probably would like to get up here and share our statements about how we feel with problems, which is useless right now. It's going to happen.
It all over,
Yes.
after you've heard everything.
Exactly.
But we are over. You've heard it.
Address the traffic questions.
Excuse me, excuse me.
The questions that we asked, and then we needed to come and make sure they were answered.
And then you can do that.
But not, but you're saying.
Okay, let
Why
me
didn't you just
explain.
stick to it the way it was?
Let's do it the old way.
If you want to start with questions of the last professional, that's fine.
No,
Let's do that.
I have a question.
I'm not, you could determine whether you want to limit people, but I think under the law, they have the ability, the applicant has finished all of their witnesses. They have the
So-
ability to ask questions of any of them, and they also have the ability.
And will the meeting continue to the next meeting if we don't get to ask all our questions?
Absolutely. We're gonna finish at 10 o'clock like we have. And,
Thank you.
Christopher's got a ton of conditions that we have to talk about anyway, and that's probably a half hour, 45 minutes right there. So we're not gonna finish tonight. So if you want to ask questions of the traffic folks, we'll open it up for questions, but we're gonna do the same thing, only traffic questions, no statements, okay?
Yes.
Once we're done with that, we'll open it up to general.
The concern was just that
Yeah.
we lose too much time with people expressing frustration versus getting through the questions that everyone.
Sure.
Thank you.
I understand.
I
Okay.
understood you were trying to give us more leeway, but
Yeah.
it actually made it clear one.
All right.
I just have schedule questions for the board. I've been waiting all night to ask them.
Okay.
One is. Excuse me. One is, I know the builder talked about how much cleanup had to be done. I contacted, the supervisor for Arcadis, and he said they
So
won't know.
if we're gonna open it up to the
Yeah,
public.
so this
let's
is
open it up.
not a traffic thing, so if we're gonna, if you folks want just traffic, then we're not gonna do this.
No, wait, well, but what I wanna do is make it formal then, this is gonna be part of the record. So we're opening it up to the public,
Yep.
okay?
No,
Excuse me, cross-examination and asking questions is opening up to the public. So we can open it up to the public, she can have her ability to ask what she can say,
Okay,
and then we can go on and,
got
you
it.
know.
It's very simple. I just want the
Oh, I'm
board.
sorry, state your name again.
Oh, Rosemary Williams.
And you swear firm tell the truth?
I swore it last time. I'm still good. I was just hoping that we could have Arcadis. A lot of us are interested in the environmental, problems with this site. And I was wondering, the gentleman who supervises that site is a nice man. I called him and he said they won't know until, they start to clean up the site, how big or how long it's gonna take. I was hoping the board could invite Arcadis to speak to us.
Thank you.
Okay, I have one more.
Okay,
The other thing is that, the watershed tried to speak at council meeting, a woman from the watershed. And, the open part of the meeting, was over, and so she wasn't, so they told her to supply a letter as to the environmental impacts. And, we've never seen that letter. Would it be possible to share that with all of us or invite someone from the watershed?
the planning board didn't receive
Then we
anything,
don't take letters.
so you have to ask somebody from council for that, if in fact
Well,
they.
probably listen to you better than me.
No, it's open, it's an open request, you can, if it's there, you can ask for it.
So I can answer that in a couple of different ways. One is, as far as anyone knows here and through our secretary, none of us are aware of any letters or reports from
Okay, she
the
said-
watershed. In addition, the watershed just can't present a report because there's an ability to cross-examine. So if they want to propose a report or a letter or testify, they have to come here in person, so they would come to the
Okay,
next meeting.
she did come to council.
Well, council's separate.
I know,
This is
I know,
different.
I know. I'm just saying.
And so she'd have to come to the next planning board meeting and get sworn in, and then she could present whatever she wants.
Okay, and Arcadis? Can we invite them?
We'll talk about that.
Okay, and also I want to thank Lou Young for bringing up parking only on one side of the street. Thank you, Lou. It's a wonderful idea.
All right.
We're going back to traffic now, right?
Yeah.
Come on up.
It's my third time finding it in the ground. Mary Blair, Lafayette Street. I swear.
Yes.
Okay.
For country.
Clarification first, there are a lot of new people here who perhaps have not read everything. You did the traffic report. I don't know who I'm speaking to now. Don't look over here, but this is Bowman.
Bowman did the traffic study.
Yes, and you did the Boswell traffic study. Okay. So the original report was done in one day. Am I correct? In
Behind you.
Yes, in 2024.
I mean, one day.
You did a report based on 6:30 to 9 in the morning and 4:30 to 6 in the afternoon, one day.
Right.
Okay,
Go there.
okay. Just wanted everyone in the room to know that. Secondly, that traffic, okay. The second question I have, and then he did his, your evaluation thereafter, 2025?
Yes,
Yes.
I believe so.
Yes, I'll look at it. Okay, that is for general information. Second thing I want to ask is, anybody actually, and I wish you would do this for the next meeting, given us the total required parking spaces with the addition of the fourth floor, which was not in the original estimate.
1.6 per year.
No, I mean the additional needed parking spaces with the.
Jeffrey, you want to answer that because I think.
I think, your bulk chart has the information or something.
Yeah, I mean, the parking requirement is based on the number of apartments.
Yes.
So whether there are 4 floors or 2 floors or 3 floors, it's based on the number of apartments, and based on that, we have 1.6 parking spaces per apartment.
Okay, and how many are provided now? Including the EV and the updated ADA.
I'm sorry, I don't really understand the question. Now meaning the existing site?
For how many proposed?
How many proposed? Yes.
Oh, in total, 189.
189, okay. And this includes potential bump spaces in the lot 7, or whatever they call this.
The tandem spaces?
Yes.
Does not include the tandem spaces.
Okay, thank you.
Oh.
Anything else? Does it include street parking? Or are these?
Oh,
I'm assuming
It includes 10% of the street parking.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
10%.
It includes, we're permitted, 10% of the required parking can be on the street. So there are more parking spaces on the street than 10%, but we only count 10% toward the requirement.
That's,
Does that make sense?
that's close to 19 spaces.
It's 18 spaces.
18 spaces. That's 19%.
That's
On the street. Like keep figuring that out.
I'm just, want everybody on.
Okay. Mary Blair. Yeah, that was her. Okay. Kate Elliott, sorry. Kate Elliott.
In order.
Yeah. In order.
Take your spot, Kate. Is that one to your?
Oh, two. 2 L's, 2 K's.
Well, it's just needs North Greenwood, I swear.
For township?
Yeah, why not? Okay, so I did read though that the number of spaces for, is that calculated on an average? Because the number of spaces for 2-bedroom townhouses is 2.3. And I think for 3-bedroom townhouses, it's more than that, according to New Jersey admin code. Are required for.
I can answer that.
Yeah.
First of all, we have no
Then
3-bedroom townhouses.
Okay.
We don't have such a thing. Second is that our requirements are based upon the redevelopment plan. I think you're probably reading from RSIS, which is a different criterion, but that's not the one we're following. Because it's not, this site's requirements were based upon the redevelopment plan.
The redevelopment plan has a different parking ratio
It does.
than the state parking ratio.
Correct.
The state.
And the state's requirements actually are maximum requirements, not minimum requirements.
Marco, is that what you?
Yes, the state are maximum requirements, and should there be no guidance among municipalities, then RSIS would govern.
Got it.
But specifically because there was a specific redevelopment plan specific for this development, that is the document that governs.
Got it.
Okay. Can I ask if there was ever considered a plan to make, is it lot 7? Is that the Somerset Street lot? That's number, yeah. Lot 7, like covered parking to move some of the density over there with units over there with parking underneath. Which would help solve our snow issue, which I think a lot of us are concerned about after this winter with on-street parking being part of the calculation where you're gonna put all the snow, all of the above.
So what if you let Jeffrey answer that?
I did address this once before. And the answer is that it was really a design consideration. Is that parking lot is adjacent to the railroad. And in order to be a little more cohesive, make a more cohesive environment for our residents, we wanted to keep them all on the other side. And the other issue is the design of that, how do I say this? The dimensions of that lot do not lend themselves to a residential building. You'd have to be deep enough to be almost adjacent to the railroad to really make it work. So we did look at it and decided that was not the appropriate answer.
As somebody who lives on the railroad, I don't see the issue, but that's cool. So half the town does live on the.
Yes, that's absolutely true. Half the town does on it.
So I'm concerned too with the on-street parking. Did the traffic study take into account that cars that cannot find parking in the parking lot are gonna be, especially let's say if there are EV only spots and you don't have an EV car, right? So if that's in our ratio of parking spaces, that people are gonna be cruising around looking for on-street parking if they can't find parking in the lot, and that's gonna increase volume. Do we take that into consideration, that cruising traffic? Cruisers. Yeah.
So,
Use the light. Thanks.
well, the short answer is no.
Okay.
And there's no reason for us to do that. Because traffic will always change. It's a dynamic flow, right? Somebody comes back from work, right? Goes into their house and forgets something. Can we actually model that? We can't actually model every movement that is gonna happen.
Sure.
So what traffic engineers do is to look at the most critical condition, which will be the peak hour in the morning when people are going to work, in the afternoon when they are coming back. What is the likely movement that they will make? They're going home, and they get into their homes. Now, you're talking about you go inside and you don't see parking. Now you're assuming that everybody comes in at the same time and they all use the parking. There's also utilization. You will never go to a parking lot and it's all full. People arrive at different times.
Well, I mean, it is if there's not enough parking spaces.
Well, you will have enough parking spaces. We'll have more than enough.
There's a formula you want to go.
Okay.
He's been testified to, based on the ordinance, based on the development plan, we've provided enough parking spaces. And like I said, people arrive at different ways.
Sure.
So everybody's not gonna arrive at the same time.
Right.
Thanks.
Thank you. So I guess I'm just trying to, again, the traffic study was done during certain peak times. It
So if you're gonna make a statement, you need to wait till later, because we've agreed it's only questions right now, right? Did we agree that?
Yeah, okay. I was trying to reformulate that question, but you know what? I'll sit back down. I can come back up again.
Okay, that's fine. Absolutely can. Steve Esposito.
Hi, yes, Steve Esposito.
Do you swear affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
And could you state your name for the record, spell your last name and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, Steve Esposito, last name is Esposito.
Thank you.
So one thing that I was trying to keep track of, you know, it looks like the study that was done, traffic study, was focused on vehicular traffic. It seems like it's outside the purview of this application to really consider the bike ped safety conditions. That's more on the borough. Is that accurate? Okay, that does raise concerns, but I think there's opportunities for traffic calming. Aside from that, well, we spent some time talking about the intersection from Hamilton to Broad Street. Did we get an actual number of like what the queuing length is under the peak hours on Hamilton? Because what we didn't talk about too is people making a right when that queues up. That intersection doesn't have a lot of space, and there's the crosswalk there. You got pedestrians crossing. It's dangerous in all directions. It's not just the lefts coming on the Broad. So how long that queue gets, I think, is an important piece of it.
Making a right or a left.
Making a right onto Hamilton is tight. If there's a queue, if there's a line of cars backing up trying to get onto Broad Street, whether they're going left or right.
So you're talking about Hamilton, turning from Hamilton onto East Broad?
It's kind of interrelated, like there's a line backing up for those coming from Hamilton, trying to get on Broad Street, making it more challenging for those turning right onto Hamilton.
I see what you're saying.
Okay, I think we've got the answer for some of it.
I'm just gonna show it to you. So this is, 93% queue length, and this is per vehicle, by vehicle. And this is southbound. That's what it is. So one vehicle. That's it, 95% of. Okay, so this is the existing condition, right? Under the bail condition is.
Okay, I mean, that's what the analysis is showing, so he's got the data, which is good, but I can say that's unrealistic, like cars back up there, so.
Okay.
If we're showing that.
But wait, before we move from you, if you have a safety concern that you think we need to hear, please say it.
No, it's just that, like I drive to school I drive my kids to school back and forth, and, whether or not remote or not, I think it actually creates more trips, because there's people leaving home to take their kids to school and then going back home. So, I think that's a little bit of a mixed answer in terms of where the trips really fall in a remote condition, but yeah, I mean, I come back and I make that right turn. I live on Elm Street, so I make that right turn onto Hamilton all the time. And there's, sometimes pedestrians, bicyclists going across there. Combine that with people coming down Hamilton where there's vehicles parked on either side of Hamilton. Hamilton's already tight. So, having a line backing up at the stop sign of that intersection just makes that right turn. You almost have to be at a full stop, and then you're hoping that whoever's behind you is stopped or paying attention, because it's all interrelated. There's just a lot of movements in that area.
Yeah, so, folks, if you want to ask questions and you only want it to be questions, let's keep it only to questions. If you want to make comments, then we're going to open it up the way we were going to open it. So those were questions that should be asked at the end. So questions, please.
The question was the queue, for the record.
Yes, thank you. Howard. Building, yes, sir. Adult.
Can you spell your last name for the record?
Yes, GED
ULDIG.
Do you swear affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I have one question. Earlier tonight, the sight lines were displayed. My question is, why were no sight lines from Elm Street included? That's the street that's going to see the 4-story building with nothing between it.
Yeah, I can't answer that question. I don't know why we didn't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
I can try to answer.
Okay.
We provided perspective views of the considerations and the questions that were asked at that last testimony.
Right.
There was no question about
From Elm
it,
Street.
or we would have done it. Okay. But there are, I think, if I understand the spot, I may or may not, but there's a lot of mature tree growth that's gonna block.
These are deciduous trees, mostly. The high ones are deciduous. They're blocking the deciduous trees for several months a year, not very.
Okay, thank you.
The other question I'm sorry, I said just one question. This goes with the recommendation you're gonna make on parking on one side. I didn't get a sense of how far down Lafayette to the east and how far north of Hamilton on the
Well, we didn't discuss that, and Borough Council is probably gonna be the ones to do that, but my recommendation would be from the no parking on Hamilton from Lafayette up to Somerset. So that whole stretch there, that whole block on Hamilton, and then, probably from Maple to Hamilton would make sense for the other piece. But again, it's all for Borough Council. We're not gonna be able to.
Okay, if you're making the recommendation, there's an existing problem right now on Hamilton between Lafayette and Broad Street. When I drive that, if it's oncoming car, someone pulls over if there's space, otherwise.
Right, so if we decide to make this recommendation to council and it appears before council, you really need to show up at that council meeting to make that case.
I'm also asking you in your recommendation to have.
Well, it's not really part of our, I mean, it's outside the realm of the.
If you are making a recommendation.
Okay, I hear you.
I'm requesting that you have them study that.
Got it, okay.
Thank you.
Say Lafayette. No, they're parking on one side of Lafayette. How far?
Yeah, yes, I did. I said from Maple to Hamilton.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yep. Melissa, you're up.
Thank you. Melissa Cookman.
I think you reported last time, you remain.
And I'll wear at you every time, thank you. This ends with a question, so bear with me. And I know there's probably nothing we can do about it, but my question is, was this considered? If you are driving, Princeton Avenue is a dead end. You dead end to Princeton Avenue, right? Dead ends, okay? Traffic is either turning left or right, east or west. There is always a green light. If you're on Hamilton, someone has a green light. They're either turning left onto Princeton Avenue or going straight, west, okay? So the Hamilton Street, which we all know is a challenge already to turn left, and many people turn right instead and then go down Seminary and then get over to Columbia, which is why when we're saying cut-throughs don't matter and it's a good thing, they do. What I don't know was considered was right almost at the corner of Hamilton and East Broad Street is that small shopping center, and they have an exit only, and it is right onto Hamilton Avenue with maybe a car's length. So if someone is pulling out of that parking lot, and it's pretty well used, there are successful businesses there, you're stuck. People, it happens all the time. And I don't think that was, my question is, why wasn't that looked at in the study, in the traffic study? Why is that intersection and that additional piece of information about Hamilton, where there is not a complete sidewalk there, it doesn't go all the way, why was that not considered to be looked at. It's a pretty major issue that's obvious.
Let's let the traffic.
The traffic.
Melissa, do you have another question or can he
I
answer?
do.
Oh, okay,
But it's a different question.
okay.
So he can answer that and then this one probably doesn't answer.
We looked at Hamilton and East Broad Street. I don't know what intersection you're talking about.
Hamilton and East Bronx, is there, do we have a picture of
Yeah,
it?
we looked at it. It's one of the intersections we.
No.
His last question was about that.
No,
Are you talking about the shopping center? The little shopping?
No.
Streets?
that egress goes right onto Hamilton Avenue.
Okay.
And you can't, and also the fact that that traffic is, there's always a green light. When you're trying to get out of Hamilton, going east or west, that traffic, you always have a green light.
No, you.
Yes, you do.
You will not always have a green light. Now, how would traffic from Princeton get?
Because
Let me explain.
I'm sorry, I live here and I know that there is always a green light.
So
Princeton Avenue dead ends.
it might seem to you that there's always a green light. There's always going to be green and red.
No, because it's a dead end.
So how would the Princeton traffic get on Broad Street?
There's Princeton Avenue.
Yeah.
There's Broad Street.
Yeah.
You have a light here, so
Yeah.
you're driving this way and it's
Yeah.
green. You go this way or this way.
Okay.
And if you're not going that way, then these people are going that way.
No.
Yeah.
Listen.
It's a typical traffic light. Somebody's always got it green.
Yeah, it must.
Is that what you're saying?
The green-
Typical traffic light.
Oh, that's the stop.
Don't yell at me, please.
Oh, yeah, not you.
Unbelievable. Well, so why wasn't it taken into consideration?
It was taken into consideration.
Well, you know, I understand that you do the minimum, but there is something, okay, I'm gonna ask my next question, and I think it may have already been answered.
Okay.
But that's an infuriating conversation. I did the numbers about how many parking spaces are needed, and I didn't know that there was redevelopment numbers versus the RSID things. Because if you do what it's suggested, where it's 1.5 parking spaces for a 1 bedroom, 2.0 spaces for a 2 bedroom, the studio or 1 bedroom, again, 1.5, a 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom is 2.3. If you add that all together, you get 218, okay? However, what I've read, and according to New Jersey Administrative Code 1966 7.2, you also must require 0.5 spaces per unit for guests, which brings you to 278 spots. Is there a question? How are you coming up with, and it also according to that code, that all required parking facilities shall be located off-street and on the same lot occupied by the use served.
It doesn't apply. You may as well be reading from an Alabama code. It doesn't apply.
Why doesn't it apply? Explain it to me.
Hey.
Yes. Is it, that's what I'm asking, that's what I said when I started, is it because this is all under the redevelopment thing?
Yeah.
Under redevelopment, you're not required to provide guest spots?
Correct.
Now that's, okay.
So it's a little bit more simplified than that. There is a standard for parking that will apply to development. In this particular case, there was a redevelopment plan in an ordinance. And the ordinance sets up the number that's required, and it did so by doing it per unit. And a specific was 1.5, I think, per unit. And it outlined where it could be. There's a certain amount that could be just fine. That's the standard. The board itself can't ask beyond that. So that's what we're limited to.
And so did
As
the
the-
council, that was in
That
part of
was,
the development
that
agreement
was
that
a
the council agreed to?
legislative
Okay.
decision. The code is already set. What we are doing as a planning board is evaluating the application against the code.
Okay.
So what we do is, what is required under the code? How many parking spaces? Did they meet that? And that's
And
as
they did,
simple as it
okay,
gets.
that's really disappointing, but, I understand now, and thank you for letting me ask my questions. And I wish you would appreciate, I know, chairperson, that you're frustrated too, but I speak for many people in this room, we feel so totally disrespected. We're trying to keep our community good and wonderful and safe, and unfortunately, we know, I know this project is gonna go through, there's nothing we can do to stop it. We're just trying to find ways to say that 200 cars in this town aren't gonna make a difference is just remarkable. And I would love a definition of imperceptible.
And you replied in last.
Spoken a couple of
Okay,
times.
that's right. Okay.
Uh,
You're still under.
yeah, just a couple of questions. Just for clarity. The 1.5 that's been approved, maybe you can answer this. You mentioned there's different standards on number of parking spots for number of units? Is that what you just said?
No.
Oh, okay, so what's this, we're using 1.5, is that what we're using?
That's the ordinance.
Okay, that's the ordinance. Yeah, standard outside the ordinance. If we didn't have an ordinance, what would that be?
It's different.
The standard that we apply is whatever's in the ordinance.
Right, I understand, I understood that. I'm asking what
So a different zone may have a different standard, and that's what applies. People are talking about, under the residential site improvement standards, the state sets a maximum so that the municipality can't push beyond what they feel is the maximum, so that they force developers to do more than what the state deems the max.
Yeah,
And so in this particular case, we've set it up, not we, but the governing body adopted an ordinance that sets forth a standard, and that's basically what we default to.
Thank you for that clarity. So what I'm understanding is the ordinance, which I think was 906, addressed this reduction to 1.5 and not have assigned parking for guests?
No, what happens is the standard that is in the ordinance.
And which ordinance? Just like,
Hopewell Borough's ordinance.
okay,
Whatever zone.
just for the
or whatever
redevelopment zone.
Standard. It applies a standard that takes into account an average that looks at likely occupants.
So anybody who built there would have the same
Yes.
1.5?
Yeah.
If it were redevelopment.
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily have to, well, in this particular case, it's a redevelopment, but either way, what happens is that number was determined on, based on a unit, realizing there's going to be different unit sizes.
Right.
Realizing there's gonna be guests, and that's what it came up with.
Right, I'm just trying to find out if it's an existing ordinance or if it was something that was specifically designed
It
for
was
this.
specifically designed. for
Right, so the
redevelopment.
council made an adjustment to this. Thank you very much. Another great move. Last question. So the testimony here indicated that it would be minimal delay in traffic due to this project, and then no significant impact was the quote. Then why do we need to put a they considered putting a circle, which if you look it up, is an indicator of an increase of traffic. And now we're putting in a stop sign in that same area, and we're adjusting parking. They can't both be true. If it's no impact, you wouldn't need to make any of these adjustments.
I can answer a part of that at least. Again, the traffic circle was a suggestion made by a committee of the borough, of the pedestrian
It was
and
made by,
bicycle safety.
it was made by Krista Weaver, a council person, and the committee no longer meets. One person made that.
Whatever.
Well, regardless,
And the issue,
someone from the boroughs made a suggestion
Yes.
to the applicant through one of the processes.
correct,
Yeah.
and the issue was not so much volume traffic, but it was speed. And the issue was to try to figure out a way of traffic calming in that area, not to deal with volume, but to deal with speed. Because the issue of traffic in that area, as perceived by what we've been told, is that it was not so much that there were too many cars, that the cars that were there were traveling too quickly.
And I would also add that the residents of that area have been asking for a four-way stop there for a long time.
Yeah, we're getting it now, right? So.
Well, hopefully, yeah, I mean, the borough council has to.
So the point is, if testimony says that it's a minimal delay and no significant impact, we are making a significant change to that corner, which is kind of in direct opposition of one another.
So significant change.
You're gonna put a stop sign in on both sides. We wanted one you said it needs to be done, and now you're putting one in. Not to mention, you're about to remove parking because of the traffic situation. That's a big change. As a matter of fact, it's in opposition to the master plan of 217, 219, and 225, we are actually reducing suggesting to reduce the number of parking, which is the number one issue, one of the top 5 issues in the master plan. You're gonna be removing parking from 2 streets. And by the way, you're gonna be removing it from the taxpayer side and giving parking to the pilot side,
Okay,
right? So those are significant changes, which I'm gonna say that is disagreement. Thank you.
Wait, just a clarification.
Yeah.
These are not dedicated spaces for that.
no,
So anyone can park in the spaces on the street.
on either side, that's right.
On either.
Correct.
Okay, we've got 8 minutes left. Andrew Osborne is next.
Good.
Andrew, I believe you wanted last time and you're going under vote.
Andrew Osborne, OSP.
Thanks.
Well, before I start though, I know you probably have some closing remarks. I'm not gonna be able to finish my questioning in short time, so I'll be able to continue next week.
Yeah,
Or next-
you can continue at the next meeting, yeah.
Can you adjust the mic or move the mic here? Sorry. Yeah.
My first question is, how you find the scope of your study, which intersections to include? You mentioned in your opening remarks and in the narrative that you selected intersections because they were going to be the primary route used by the site. And so that's not just the adjacent intersections of Somerset and Hamilton and Lafayette, but also the Greenwood and Hamilton and East Broad. And conversely, any intersection we did not include was excluded because it was not going to get a majority of traffic or primary. It would not serve as a primary route for something like this. And so the data that was collected in the field in September of 2024, that was by Imperial Traffic and Data Collection. That's correct. Were you present for the data collection?
No. The data collection was done with vision cameras. The cameras were installed, so we had the recording. So
Oh, really?
we don't have people counting manually anymore.
Okay, I didn't know.
All right.
And well, did you or someone from home actually walk?
Yes.
The site? So every input in the analysis, comes from the cameras then, the heavy vehicle count.
That's correct.
Location of stop signs, signal.
That's correct. Well, the lane configurations and every other parameters, we did field observation and measurements. So the camera is not going to measure the lane width for you. We did those.
Okay.
All right.
So then when you have the data that was collected, that forms the existing conditions that kind of locked in for the build and no build conditions as well. So that is not altered in the future conditions. Whatever was observed in the existing conditions will carry forward into a no build and build without alteration, correct?
Yes, for most part, yes.
For the most part? Right?
Yes.
So some things are altered or?
Well, the volumes will change
I'm sorry?
the traffic volumes will change in the future conditions.
Well, yeah, but the existing conditions will.
Like the roadway conditions. Yeah, that will remain the same.
All right, so then the site driveways, whether it's the parking lot or the Lafayette driveway, they only allow east-west exit, correct? They can't go north or south from out of the parking, correct?
The Lafayette side driveway?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or the other.
Yeah, it's on left or right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned in the beginning that directional split, how many go east, how many go west.
Right.
Based on the observed traffic data that Imperial collected.
Right.
Okay. And what would you say that split look like, east versus west? Was it, from my observation, is it fair to say 60% in the AM peak hour, 60% heads, east and 40% west, and then at the end it's reverse.
Well, from which driveway?
Just, like, I was just looking at East Broad Street.
So, here's the thing. People who come out from the Somerset driveway, there's some who are gonna go all the way towards railroad, right?
With the Greenwood.
Or to Greenwood. There's some, a few of them, who live, who park towards the north, that might make left on Hamilton and come down. Now, the same applies to Lafayette, right? The driveway there, there's some that will come out and make a right to make a left on Hamilton. And then a few of them might make a left and continue to Elm Street here. So that's how traffic is going to distribute. So it's not fair to say 60% is going east or 60% is going west. It depends on what driveway.
But you don't, assign them direction randomly, you got it based on existing traffic conditions, right? That determine how many go right, how many go left.
Yeah, and I'm not just exactly how the traffic patterns are. You also have to look at the locations of major collectors or roadways within the area. Right? So if would majority of people use Hamilton and go east on Lafayette? No, because in the morning, they're heading towards the Princeton area or Hopewell or Skillman. So you're not gonna assign a lot of traffic on the local road. They're gonna go towards Hamilton. That's the reasonable way to go. And even if you look at the traffic count, itself, Hamilton has more volume than Lafayette. That's why you have the stop control on Lafayette, and they have Hamilton on free flow. Otherwise, you have bottlenecks there.
Okay, so you, as they head east or west at Hamilton, and most of them, you say, are gonna take Hamilton to get to East Broad Street. Is it fair to say that drivers generally are gonna seek the path of least resistance? So figure 4 in your study, I don't know if you.
We can pull it up, everybody.
I'm gonna go through this chart online.
So this is the traffic study figure 4?
Yeah.
Andrew, how many more questions you have?
After the narrative, but before all that.
This next one, next one for you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Yeah, who's been doing that? All right, those are the figures, so the first one,
Before that.
Is that the one?
I know, the one before.
Yeah, that's it.
That's 5,
Okay, that's
4 is above. Yep.
That one. Okay, so you have, coming from the west.
Okay.
Yeah, so coming from the west Princeton area, you have 25 cars returning in the afternoon. That's, 25. They're now headed west.
Okay.
And they return to the site driveway from Lafayette Street. They don't continue to Hamilton, make a right, and then make another right, and then a left. They just come along Lafayette and then make a right into the driveway. Right?
Right.
And that, all the, PM peak hour traffic returning to the site, we have 43 cars. In, right. And this is 25 of those 43, so that's about 58% of the traffic. Returning to Hopewell 57 is gonna come along Lafayette Street, correct? Okay. Okay. Now, the next thing I wanted to turn to is the, background growth factor. So we have the existing traffic that was collected in the field, and then you apply a 1% growth factor for local roads or 1.5 for arterial, and the arterials are Greenwood and East Broad, everything else is local. And you basically compound that annually to arrive at the no bill and bill traffic count. Right. Okay, and that's done by turning movement, correct? You don't total all the traffic and do that, you look at each movement, yes. Right, so 4 cars turning left, 1%, 1%, right. Now in your, are you in there? No, I'm Victor. Victor, okay. In the, in the turning two-way stop control reports, there's an analyst initials, EJB. That's the person who went all of that. Are they here tonight? No, it's not here. So when you scaled up the traffic to 2028 by individual turning movement, the two-way stop control reports list the date in the bill, in the no bill condition as 2027. Okay. And your narrative says it was done to 2028. So was it typo? Sorry? It was just a typo. Okay. So using the analysis, the method that you just outlined, I put all the turning movements for every intersection, every approach into Excel, and I scaled them up 1% for local, 1.5% for arterial. And I did that for 3 years and 4 years. Now, another thing your narrative says that was included was proposed project traffic. So there's a couple projects like the Hopewell Inn that are not yet completed, but they're expected to be before this opens. So you generated trips for those projects and added them. And you used the same method, you used the ITE trip generation handbook. Okay, so do you know how many trips you added for the 3 projects that were included? No, I couldn't tell you that exactly. It's in the report. So, well, it's not in the report, so that's what I was asking. It just says that you did that, but you didn't say how many cars. Can you tell me, when you do that, you had the addresses of the projects. So do you put the cars on the road where those trips were generated? Yes. So there was some on Hopewell, somewhere on Mount. So this is how it's done, right? The 4 intersections were analyzed, right? Mm-hmm. We're going to project trips from those developments, similar to one of the board members that I asked. Projects in Skillman or whatever. Well, I'm not. I know. I'm just saying similar to the question she asked. Those traffic for developments that are approved or anticipated in the borough. Traffic from those sites that you just mentioned that either are approved or anticipated in the borough here. Right. Those volumes are the ones who project their movements
towards these intersections that were analyzed.
Right.
And included in those areas. If they don't show up there, then we don't have to add them. Say, for example, it's, some other part of the township, and the traffic is not going to show up in East Broad. There's no reason for us to analyze them.
Okay, for the Hopewell Inn, which is on East Broad. Let's say, I'm just making up a number, let's say it's only a few apartments, let's say there's 3 cars.
Right.
Exiting. Some of them are gonna go east because we have this directional split, some will go west. You don't have to include the ones that go west.
Right.
Because they're not in the study, but
Right.
if some of them do turn and reach an intersection that is included in the study, you would place that car on the street that the project is being built in, correct?
If it's gonna come there, yes.
Yeah, okay. And, Mr. Navarro, you noted in your review, Mr. Navarro, that he had included those, proposed cars. Did you verify the inclusion of any proposed development traffic in the study?
I verified everything based on the information provided, yes.
So you were able to locate those cars in the,
In a reasonable estimate, let's talk. I don't have it in here in terms of my,
like, for example, the Model Avenue. There's gonna be 13 row townhome condominiums,
okay?
so that's Model Avenue.
I'm looking at Google
I
right
think
now.
that would use,
Where's Model?
land use code 215. So it generates 5 or 6 cars. So we would expect to see some of those appear on Model Avenue intersection at Greenwood, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. If I can.
If you would pull up figure 1.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about that.
Well, but that's figure 3.
Yeah,
Right.
Andrew, that's figure 3, the difference between figure 2 and figure 3.
right.
Right? Figure 2 is existing and figure 3.
I wanna see figure 2, sorry, figure 2, yeah. So, looking at figure 2, in the AM peak hour, how many cars on Model Avenue are approaching Greenwood? It's 23, correct, in the AM?
Okay.
Okay, so, and then all 23 of those cars are making a left.
Right. That's what the count showed.
Yeah. So now looking at the no build condition. So here we've added background growth of 1% per year annually for 4 years, which brings it to 24 cars. Where in your Model Avenue intersection have you added any of these proposed development cars? We only have background growth added. Did you see that, Mr. Navarro?
So, here's the thing, even though there's developments that have been approved or anticipated, right?
Yeah.
If it's not approved by the board, right?
Yeah.
We can add those traffic,
Right.
even though there's a vision for it to be built.
Even though what?
Even though the project is being anticipated,
Yes,
if it doesn't have the board approval,
okay,
you can add those traffic because they may never be built.
fair enough.
So it's traffic that has been approved that are added in the
So
back.
in your narrative, you said you included traffic from several other specific developments, including the yard at 24 Model Avenue and Dame's 13 townhouse units.
Right,
So we should expect to see those cars
Right,
on
so
Model Avenue based on your methodology.
all right. So 13.
Mr. Navarro, you just testified that you verified that those cars appeared at Model Avenue, didn't you?
The 13 town.
I actually did not. I said I thought I did. So that's, excuse me, if we're going on record, I'm licensed. I'm licensed. I would never give this board incorrect information for any study that I do. And I resent the fact that you guys are trying to trick me into the gotcha moment, when all I've done is provided good testimony in front of you. No, I'm sorry. I don't mean.
You're doing a great job.
I would like at this time
The fact is, for background growth, he only, the traffic engineer only adds background growth
right,
to existing conditioned volumes.
correct.
If there's site generated traffic, let's assume 13 townhouses, that's 5 vehicles. Depending on what that traffic study and where those vehicles go, they get distributed however they get distributed. Not all of those 5 vehicles necessarily.
Yeah, we just went over this.
So I'm going to answer the question that was provided to me, please. So as a result of that, we're talking 5 cars.
We got it. And the chances of those being built at this point, it was approved so long ago. What's your
But
point?
that-
No, no, seriously.
My
what's your
question
point?
is, my point is, in the narrative, it stated he added these cars.
Oh, okay.
5 to 6 are exiting the site, 2 to 3 are gonna end up at this intersection.
Yeah.
They are not on the study.
Mhm.
All the numbers that are in these no-build conditions are later placed in these two-way stop control reports, and they affect control delay, which he relies on to make his conclusion that there is no noticeable impact. And yet he has made that conclusion based on numbers that do not reflect the actual conditions that he collected.
While that may be true, although it's not exact, it's been misconstrued. The fact that I stated and I testified early in the point was that by ITE and New Jersey Access Code, 100 vehicles or less are considered de minimis. As a result, for the development, 100 vehicles or less, which they do not generate, is not going to affect traffic based on their development.
I have a question about that though.
But you can't, because that's
I do.
the standard.
De minimis is the threshold that whether a report is even required, whether a traffic study is even required. If it generates less than 100 trips, under normal conditions, a traffic study would not be required, correct?
But they did one anyway for your benefit. I'm really confused right now.
My question is, if the site generates less than 100 trips.
You don't need to do it.
You don't need to submit a traffic study.
In weak case, we
Right.
don't. need
But
to-
in this case, we have a redevelopment agreement and a statute which requires the traffic study, in which case de minimis is not a defense. It does not apply. I don't know if you could cite the statute that says.
There
that.
are times when, despite the fact, I've read countless studies. Bowman's happens to be, this might have been your second that I've reviewed from Bowman. I've reviewed various other traffic studies. There are traffic studies that say we're gonna generate 20 trips. So we don't have to show you anything. There are traffic studies that say we're gonna generate 15 trips, but here's the study anyway. In this case, the developer happened to decide, you know what? Just to be on the safe side, I'm gonna give you a study. As a result of them giving a study, that study goes to the board requests the engineer, Ms. Davis, or their traffic expert, me, to review a study. And that's what happened in this case.
As a matter of fact, I have a question for our lawyer. The redevelopment agreement, in fact, requires the traffic study, correct?
Yeah.
So this was not done voluntarily, was it?
Yeah, you might not have known, the redevelopment agreement itself asks the applicant. because the borough was- Yeah.
But
The
typically,
borough, it typically would be, but in this particular case, because it was a redevelopment area and the agreement that the borough put together required them to do 3 studies. One was a traffic impact study, one was a school impact study, and the third was an emergency service impact study, and all those 3 have been provided. So, on the other hand, when we get into the issue with traffic, the board itself does not, does not take a look at like small numbers of trips, because it's really doesn't, they look at the intersections and they evaluate whether or not there's a decrease to either an F or maybe even a D. And I don't think any of the numbers, at least by what you
No.
said and I heard so far. have been
LOC or better.
Near.
Well, nevertheless, we have at least established that they don't reflect the existing conditions, so it is possible that the numbers may have changed slightly. We're relying on their
You're welcome
professional
to
opinion.
ask
There was
that.
no change.
Yeah, and that's why we have cross-examination, so you can ask these questions.
But we're not relying on evidence as much as professional opinion.
Well, there's data and then they give you.
But the data presented does not match the data collected.
And that's why you can ask him questions about that, and he has the
So
opportunity to respond.
I would like to enter this exhibit in. This is the spreadsheet where I did the background growth for the 2027, which was in the two-way stop control reports, and 2028 for each turning movement included in the study.
So the question there is, to enter an exhibit, well, I mean, we can enter it and mark it and the applicant will have the ability to object to it. It's being presented through, first of all, this is supposed to be a question, but we go way beyond that. Which is what I wanted to do, so.
Right.
But really, it comes down to, there's two different types of witnesses. You have expert witnesses that basically have to show and qualify as an expert and then provide us testimony in that area. And they could predict and create assumptions and be asked questions on, like predictions. The other type of witness, if not qualified, is a fact witness, which they can testify to what they see and what they experience. And, and then there's also people can make arguments and things like that. So it gets a little murky here because we have, someone that hasn't been qualified or whether through, and he may be, I don't know, he may be.
I'm not testifying as an expert. I'm just pointing out the data that he provided and using the methodology that he confirmed. And I just did the math.
So
What is
exactly as
What
he
is
said he
the,
did.
what is the problem that you see with the data?
Well,
Just point out to us.
so, my radar went off when I saw 2027 in one report and 2028.
What is your?
So depending on which year you do it, if you go to 2027, there are extra cars that on this broad, which would indicate that you added these proposed development cars on Broad Street. However, if you go to 2028, the traffic numbers are high enough that all of that is absorbed. And there is in fact no extra traffic added from proposed developments, which you claimed you did. So if you went to 2028, there is no proposed development traffic, which your narrative says it's in here. And if you only went to 2027, then
There is the addition is there, right?
if you went to 2027,
The additional driver.
it's all on.
No, we're talking about one or two vehicles.
Well, but then you're missing more than 20 cars by not going to 2028
What do you know about 20 cars?
for background growth. You're missing a whole year of background growth.
Yeah, but how many cars are those?
Well,
It's just about 200 vehicles.
if your professional opinion only states that it doesn't make a difference.
It's
but
1%,
we need to
1%
rely on the
1%
evidence in the
of-
report. We can only rely on the evidence.
I know 1% of 20 cars is what?
Okay. So Somerset and Hamilton is an interpolated intersection, correct?
Oh, sorry. Somerset and,
I'm sorry?
it says Somerset and where?
Somerset and Hamilton. You didn't actually observe that site, you interpolated that from the traffic arriving from Wigmore and the traffic arriving from.
Right.
And the same. So the movements that come from North Wigmore are used to interpolate some of the traffic. And some of the movements from, I guess, westbound right, northbound through, and eastbound left. Okay. For southbound left, on Wigmore, You use reading, each hour ball.
I can't hear the.
Can we keep down the volume, please? There's still testimony and questions, cross-examination going on.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, he's gotta make sure it's accurate, so let's just be clear, please.
No, I'm sorry, figure two, never mind, sorry.
So we're on figure 2 of the traffic report.
So we're looking at PM peak hour. Southbound left on North Greenwood. How many vehicles? One? Is that correct? Good. And then that number arrives at Somerset, you add that in for the PM. This is the number right there. Now, according to your traffic count, there was in fact 18 vehicles. Yes, there were 18 vehicles. And that, in this figure here, and in the two-way stop control reports, you only have one. Similarly, looking at PM westbound right, we have 7 cars turning westbound right. Yes. Is that correct? Lafayette? Yeah. According to your traffic counts, there were actually 36 cars.
Can I make a suggestion
Yeah,
on
please,
this?
sure.
Would it be possible, I think you understand some of the confusion. Would it be possible to go back, verify all your numbers and come back and be able to provide that instead of trying to calculate it here? It's a little confusing for everybody.
If you will help you try to know exactly what expression I got or it's going. If you can give me that, if you can give me those questions, I'll respond to those.
Could we do this like we did with the lighting where he could just give him the questions and they could come back?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's a lovely
Yeah, I think. So at this point, though, the potential for some the interpolated intersection is based on incorrect data. Seems to be what happened. Yeah, and then if I see your questions, I can respond to them. If in fact a mistake was made. Right. That would carry through to the no build and the build as well, so those are the.
Yeah, it wouldn't be 100%.
Now, your conclusion.
You're gonna provide these questions to him, right?
Well,
So provide the questions to him so he can answer, because I think nobody's being able to follow you except the two of you, so.
We're losing the audience.
Yeah. Just provide the questions to him.
Let me ask you this.
Directly, okay?
Wait,
I would like.
For the record, how many more do you have? Are we talking about
Two, I
like 2 or
mean,
3 or
The
30?
only issue is I would like for these to be on the record, I don't.
They will.
You know.
How many do you have? 4, just so we have an idea?
Like, I think I'm gonna carry into the next.
Right. Yeah, well, I think that's what we're saying is, if you just had like 1 or 2 more, or if you have a lot, then maybe it's better to get those questions. For traffic engineers.
But I think it would be helpful if you could summarize what you're asking from him, because he needs to go back and respond.
Right, so I could enter these exhibits with the errors that I found and.
Is it okay? Yeah, is it okay if we just take a copy of that?
Yeah, and then I can enter one into the record as well.
I think we could mark it and then we could hear if there's any objections in terms of, it's just, what is it? Is it questions?
Now, these are the
It's incorrect.
discrepancies in volume
So,
Okay.
No, one at a time, please.
Well, I have an answer about whether he can enter it into evidence. I think I know that.
Thank you, don't. Quasi judicial.
so I think, I don't, you know, from the applicant standpoint, do you want to hear him just read through the questions, or do we want to continue this?
I think the most productive thing is for them to meet and discuss and resolve and come back with with whatever's left. And if there are still questions, to ask them. But I'm not sure,
The only objection I have to that is, you know, it will take some of his time to correct any, if these are in fact, if legitimate.
If it's actually incorrect.
It will take him time to do that, and then if I have additional.
he's not able to answer your questions on his feet here, it seems like.
I'm not expecting him to,
Right.
I just,
So
just
then-
acknowledging the discrepancy is all I'm looking for.
So,
But you feel like it fixed, right?
Or you're just doing it
Well,
for a
in
show.
part, yeah, but this is just.
Well, if you want it fixed,
like
you have
half
to give
of
them
it.
a
This is
chance
just-
to
of course,
do it.
But I guess what I'm saying is these are only like half of what I'm.
Well, I know,
Let's go.
and we're at
Right,
10:30,
so-
and I said if we'd end at 10, so.
I don't wanna,
Give
like,
them,
Yeah.
have to do this again the next week, and then he's gotta go back, and then he's gotta come back for a third week.
so,
Right, so it's better if you give them the questions now, and then next time they'll have.
Well, it might be like
do
20 more
you,
minutes.
do you have a, like, a list that you could just read right now into the record?
Yeah.
Because then that will make it part of the record, and then you'll have that. And you could watch the video if you don't have, just ask the questions. It seems like a few of them, he's gonna have to take a look at the numbers to answer. Yeah. Let's just get them on the record, so the
Yeah.
questions are there. and
Okay.
this way he has a basis to kind of,
Okay,
go back and take a look.
all right.
All right, so, yeah, what can I prepare to just say, I found 10 more to save time, and we can just enter these into the record. So I didn't actually print up a question for those, so I don't know if you want me to go through every single turning movement.
No.
So if you're saying you have questions regarding the turning movements on and just identify those
Basically, the
intersections.
same issue that we just identified.
Uh-huh.
I have like 9 or 10 more. So
And
exactly
can
the
you
same.
tell us where they are? So you,
Sure.
like, it's a question, so we could.
Hamilton Lafayette, this is, existing conditions. Hamilton
So
Lafayette,
existing conditions.
westbound left. Actual volume was 3, reported volume was 2. Hamilton Lafayette, westbound through, actual volume 3, reported 1.
So we, yeah, can we fight it down a little bit so that we can make it clear?
North Greenwood Railroad, actual volume 114, reported 23, difference of 91. North Greenwood Railroad, southbound right, actual volume 5, 0 reported. Hamilton Lafayette, the peak hour used there, I believe, was 4:15. Hamilton Lafayette, 4:45. 18 actual. 23 will be reported, that was over. Hamilton Lafayette, 4:15, westbound right, 36 actual, 7 reported. Railroad, Greenwood, 4:25, actual 18, 1 reported. Somerset and Hamilton, the interpolated intersection, if you interpolate it with the correct numbers, it should have been 57, you reported 29. Northbound right, actual 2, reported 1, and another issue with the interpolated intersection, if you look at the PM traffic, in the AM, 2 cars going through, 2 making a left, in the PM, there are 31 going through and 38 going left, and those weren't observed, and because of the missing cars from Greenwood and missing cars from Hamilton, it ended up having 69 cars come out of a dead end street, which. You mean, showing up here? Right here. Okay. See what they said. It's all in there, right? It's all in there. But then some of my other questions are not, should I ask you? Yeah, let's see.
Chair, did you want me to ask it or, they're not bad questions?
Then we'll hold until next.
It's a nice thing. Everybody.
Good. Next time. Okay, yeah. Next time.
You're available at the next hearing date?
Yeah. This is it?
Christopher, you want to do the notification for the next meeting?
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
so if everybody can just listen here, because I want to make sure it's clear. Because of the,
Sorry, I did have one more man.
You don't want to hear the one last? You will have an opportunity to ask additional questions. I think it may be helpful, if you want to have a meaningful dialogue with the, to kind of let him know what you want, responses to. And I think it would just be more meaningful that way. So we're looking at, I don't even have it in front of me. What's the next date that we have?
April 15th.
Is that it?
It's 50, yeah.
Okay, so, due to the size of the crowd, we are gonna be changing the place, the meeting place. So instead of meeting here, the next meeting will be at the school. What's the
Hopewell
address?
Elementary School.
Hopewell Elementary, do we have the address off the top?
It's right around the corner.
Oh, I know where it is, I just don't know the address.
There's traffic there.
Princeton Avenue, I can't give you the number.
I think I said.
35.
Yeah,
Yeah, you said that 35.
35 Princeton Avenue.
Yeah.
So, in an effort to accommodate the larger group here, we will be shifting the next meeting, which is April 15th at 7 o'clock to the school. And, we're asking the applicant to provide a courtesy notice, even though we're announcing it here today. We'll do a couple steps. We're announcing it tonight. We are gonna be putting it on the website and outside of the doors. On that night, we will have signs posting that there is a new location and the address, the name and the address of that location. So we're gonna continue this meeting. Further notice, although not technically required, we're gonna ask the applicant to do so, just so that the public is aware of the change of venue. And we'll do our part in terms of the website and the door to make sure that it's clear, so everybody understands. So it is 35 Princeton, right? We did confirm the address is 35 Princeton.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's 7 o'clock, April 15th.
Just for you down here.
I had a.
I'll take a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye.
Secretly,